East Hampton Village Board of Trustees, you're live.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. Today is March 17th, 2023. If I could ask everybody to stand for a Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. If I could just ask you to stand for one more minute for a moment of silence. One of our longtime residents, very good friend of our village, Tom Lee, passed away a couple of weeks ago. And I just want to remember him and his family with a moment of silence. Thank you very much. All right, I have a few announcements. The first is Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. We have a couple of birthday announcements. Trustee Doyle, it's her birthday today. And Dominique Cummings, who's our treasurer, and I know she's watching, so happy birthday to Dominique and Trustee Doyle. As everybody may know, we had a water main break. It wasn't actually, it was the fire water main that went into one of the buildings on Main Street, caused major damage to Gubbins and several other stores. They should be reopening soon, so we're hoping everyone will go out there and help them get going. I know Gubbins, I spoke to Geary, who's the owner, and he had over $1 million worth of inventory in his basement that was completely ruined. So definitely looking for support for the local businesses when they reopen. Our annual scavenger hunt will take place on March 25th at noon. To register, you just go to our email. It's historicehv@gmail.com. The questions are a little difficult this year because they were written by Hugh King. It's a fun day, and everybody, we've done it the last 2 years, and it's just an enormous amount of fun. It's all done via email. You have a group, and you go to get different clues, and you go throughout the village, and you have a great time. And the prize for the winning team is a dinner at a local restaurant. So again, sign up there. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to turn this over to Trustee Doyle right now just to talk about the Hamptons Mystery and Crime Festival that she's organized.
Okay, well, it's less than a month away, so if you haven't had an opportunity to get your tickets yet, we have about 42 panelists, best-selling authors, mystery writers. We have escape rooms at the library. We have, which will probably be very popular with this crowd, a crime scene, Who Killed the Mayor. So that will be at Village Hall. And you'll learn forensics there. It's a game, and there's a lot going on for the weekend, so please visit our website, hamptonswhodunit.com.
Great. Village Administrator Aljon, could you fill us in about the MayDay 5K run?
There's nearly 200 people signed up already. It's Sunday, May 7th at 9 a.m. at Main Beach, rain or shine.
And the proceeds are going to benefit the Tyler Project in Montauk. So coming out for that, we already have 200 signed up?
Nearly 200.
Great. How many did we have last year?
I think 600 runners, 800 people were there.
Wow. Nice. All right, we're going to do a roll call.
Okay. Mayor Jerry Larson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Chris Minardi.
Here.
Trustee Sandra Melendez.
She's absent.
Is excused absent.
Excused absent, correct.
Trustee Carrie Doyle.
Here.
Trustee Sarah Amadon.
Here.
Administrator Marcos Valadron.
Here.
Village Attorney Lisa Perillo. Here.
Great, thank you. We are going to, before we discuss before Hugh comes up, I just want to have Billy Hajak speak about the change order for the resolution we have coming up. Billy has to leave early, so I want him to do this first so that we can.
Thank you very much for accommodating me. There's a resolution 410 on for today. It's a change order for the Herrick Park renovation project. It's in the amount of $46,000, and the work encompasses interior plumbing that's required to install the new dump tank. There was an issue with the IA septic system. A dump tank has to be installed.
We have no microphones, Bill. You got to speak up.
The innovative alternative septic system that was installed at Herrick Park was having performance issues. The engineer and the county recommended we install a dump tank. Some of the work covered in this change order is the interior plumbing to change the outfall pipe so that we can later install the dump tank. In addition to that, when the work was being completed, the renovation work, it was discovered a void in one of the walls that contained interior plumbing, and the building had a historic issue of having freezing pipes and freezing issues, and it's because there was plumbing in an exposed wall that wasn't properly insulated. And then there was a freeze up in the building, and this work rectifies the freezing issues and then also repairs it so that we don't have this issue in the future again. So that's a description of exactly what this change order encompasses. There'll be one more change order coming for next month, which is the actual installation of the dump tank. And that work, in addition to some of the plumbing, is going to be covered by the Community Preservation Fund monies, it was a grant to install the IA system. So that's a summary.
Anybody have any questions? All right, terrific. Hugh, you're up. Hugh King, our historian, will now speak to us about.
Thank you for inviting all these people to hear me speak today. The who killed the bear? Is there a time limit on that? All right. You have in your packet. You have something from the Flow Blue International Collectors Club. What they did is I sent them the information about Flow Blue is a kind of ceramic that we have at Home Sweet Home. All right. It's usually made for transferware. We have a whole collection. They wanted to know about it. I sent them the information. And then they put it in their booklet. If you see that, they have a whole story of Home Sweet Home in there. So I wanted you to see that. Also at the library, in honor of Women's History Month, there are exhibits on the Ladies Village Improvement Society, the Ramblers, the Garden Club of East Hampton, and the oldest women's organization in the town of East Hampton. What is it? Okay, Wayne Scott Sewing Society. All right. And then there is also an exhibit on Mrs. Ruth Benjamin, who was the first director at Home Sweet Home Museum. She worked there for 27 years. So that's in the library. It's in the, what do you call when you go, the lobby of the library. When you walk into the library, you go to your left and you see these glass cases. And that's where this exhibit is. And the last thing I want to talk about is Route 27. There's a group of adults in our town or in our village who, after a day's work, go to the East Hampton High School to practice their English. It's called Route 27. And a group came to Home Sweet Home the other night, and they're going to be coming back. And we take them around the museum and talk to a little bit about the East Hampton history. Okay? That's it. Good luck.
Thank you. Next up is Brad Billett from the East Hampton Village Foundation and Chris Hines.
You can put up the Herrick Park map, LTV. Public. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, trustees, public. We wanted to announce a very great thing, and that we will be renovating Herrick Park starting next week with the approval of the village. As you see from the map in front of you and on TV, we're going to be creating a new tennis court that will have 2 pickleball courts as convertible courts to one of the tennis courts. We will be creating a new walkway around the entire park to make Herrick Park ADA compliant, so that somebody in a wheelchair could actually go around the entire perimeter of the park unencumbered. We will be redoing the softball field and having a brand new softball field with 2 dugouts, as well as a new walkway along the path, along the Herrick Park parking lot border there. And there'll be a nice brick walkway similar to all the brick in the rest of the village. This is just phase 1A of Herrick Park. It's going to be over $1 million. It's going to be with no taxpayer dollars at all. It's all donated funds. We want to thank all of the people that have donated, that have come to our events, that have donated in the centennial and through that. So it's over $1 million. I also want to ask Land Tech to say just a few words, and then I'm going to have a couple of other announcements for the foundation.
Thank you. Thanks, Brad and Marcos. Been working with them over the last year to get to this point. The Land Tech Group, it's been in business for over 30 years, and we're one of the largest sports-related contractors on this part of the United States. We've done work right now. Currently, we're finishing up a project at Stephen Hands. We're putting in 2 Little League fields there. We've done work at the high school. We built the original turf field 2 years ago. We actually just replaced the turf. And we also did the softball field at East Hampton, along with the turf infield. And we work for the town of Southampton as well as Brookhaven. So we have quite a bit of experience here. We go all the way from the Westchester all the way down the floor, basically following the I-95 corridor. Right now, we're looking at mobilizing next week. So as we have our insurances in place, we're going to come over from the Stephen Hands project and start mobilizing on this. With long as the weather cooperates, our anticipation is to have this done by June 1st or Memorial Weekend, as long as everything goes smoothly. And at this point, it's all about the weather. So we appreciate your business, and we thank you, the village, along with Brad and Marcos.
Chris, I have one question. The LVIS wanted to know.
You guys speak up.
The LVIS asked me if it's possible for the pickleball court to be switched over closer to the Rouge parking lot.
That's fine.
Okay.
The lines are paint, so whether you put them wherever you put them, that's up to you guys.
Okay.
We don't mind. It doesn't matter on that.
And we'll take any questions from the trustees, the mayor, on the project.
I don't have any questions other than just to say thank you for getting this done, both of you. I know this was been a lot of work, raising the money and finalizing this plan. I know we've been back and forth with many different versions, but the cost of things have increased so much that we're lucky we can get this done, and I'm looking forward to getting it done. And this was why we created the foundation to begin with, and Brad took the lead on this, was to raise money for very important projects like this that we wouldn't have to burden the taxpayers with. So Brad has done an excellent job, and the board appreciates everything you've done, and this is a really big win for the residents. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, and very much appreciate it. And it's a total team effort in working with the village, and we very much appreciate it. On that same vein of raising monies, we had somebody donate monies in Judith Zecker's name. And so it can announce today that the foundation will also buy a jet ski for the lifeguards. So in fact, we will have a new jet ski for them to respond to emergencies. We also bought something last year, as you may remember, for the police department, ATV for emergency response as well. We anticipate having a great Tuesdays at Maine series this summer, and we'll have some fantastic acts with that, as well as other things like yoga on the beach, which we may have now. Instead of once a week, we'll have it twice a week. So everyone should come out and definitely do that. But thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and very much appreciate the opportunity to serve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if everything goes according to plan, we will start the demolition on Monday.
We'll probably get the temp fence up next week, and then the demo will probably start depending on, right now, we just need to make sure the insurances are in place.
All right, great.
So that's all in the process. We've worked with Marcos to get that in. We have the name, so now I just got to get the underwriters to do what they got to do.
So the work is due to start no later than April 1st, and then to end no later than June 15th.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
So those are all very reasonable timeframes, and we expect to, well, they're very reasonable. I like to say we would expect to beat them, but I can't promise to win.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next up is Peter Ziegler and Bob Beck with a proposition for us? If you can just speak up, because I don't know why, but we don't have microphones today.
Expense to the taxpayers.
Right.
It's very ironic that we're following the fellows from Herrick Park because we're going to talk about Herrick Park and the possibilities of many historic artifacts may still be in that ground before it disappears forever.
Let's pass out the.
Do we need to pass out a proposal?
No, it's okay.
You can read along?
No, it should be on the screen. LTV can,
Oh, really?
LTV, can you put that on the screen for us?
there you go.
There you go. Now,
No,
back up. One more.
This
There you
one?
go.
This one right here?
Yes.
Great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, trustees. Good morning, citizens of East Hampton. I want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to especially thank Marcos for encouraging us to make a presentation to the board, and again, you can as well. My name is Peter Zegler. I'd like to read the proposal. It's a lot easier because I'm shaking in my boots. I don't public speak very well. I don't technically good, but I don't public speak very well. To the Village of East Hampton trustees. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Village of East Hampton trustees, Bob and I would like to volunteer our services to metal detect Herrick Park to find and donate to the Village of East Hampton an array of historic items is found that represent significant events and lifestyle of the people of the day. Herrick Park, formerly the G. Mulford and G.B. Barnes Farms and Payne Ford properties. This comes off of the 1873 map. How do we metal detect? How it's done. The coil of the detector passes over a metal target which makes a beep tone, a 5-inch by 5-inch by 4-inch hinged plug. That means you just cut 3 sides and leave the 4th side as a hinge. Is made, the plug is removed from the ground, retaining its hinge on one side. The hole and plug are scanned with a small detector. It's a mini detector called a pinpointer. Little pinpointer, did we? No. Okay. Or a metal detector. Called a pinpointer, the target is removed and the plug is replaced back in the ground with almost no sign you've ever taken a plug out. Examples of things we may find: tools. It's like show and tell, right? Large horse or very large person. One second.
We did not rehearse this. No. At this point, while you're reading that, if I may, walk up to the dais, etc., and pass out a couple of the artifacts that I have put in shadow boxes.
Yeah,
to give you
please.
an idea what you might find.
You're welcome.
I don't think they need to rush. No.
Thanks.
And you just. What I passed out, just to let you know, I found some colonial buckles from the late 1600s to the early 1700s, and then a lot of colonial buttons. But I have over 100 shadow boxes of various items that we have dug in the ground, so it's pretty interesting stuff. I will say one more thing. I'm not trying to say anything to the folks up here, but I did get permission. I live right close to Agawam Park, and Agawam Park, as a kid, I'm pretty old now. I'm 81. So anyway, I got permission to metal detect that park. And what happened was I spent a half an hour in that park, and I gave up. I gave up because I had a pocket full of clad coins and modern stuff, which I'm not looking for. We were looking for history. And the history is in the ground. What happened was they resurfaced that park about 20 years prior. So all the history was lost. So if there's a possibility with this part before it gets completely changed, it would be wonderful. Maybe we'll find something of interest.
Okay, examples of things we might find: tools, buttons, buckles, hinges, horse tack, Revolutionary War items, Anything that lies beneath the soil dating back to the settling of East Hampton Village in 1648. The park has been used as a playground for the high school since 1917, as well as a ladies' village, improvement society, annual fair for many years. The last park renovation was 1981. We would like to test several locations throughout the park to get a general idea of the current soil conditions and feel for what may be found before detecting the entire area. And that's what Bob was talking about. We don't know if in 1981 soil was taken off the surface and they took everything with them, how far down they went. So it's just to get, we call it the personality of the property. Maybe 15 or 20 little digs, and we'll know within an hour or so if it's worth continuing or not. Thank you for consideration. Peter and Bob.
If we, any questions?
Anybody have any questions? I think it's a great idea. I think it'll be a lot of fun to see what you actually find out there. I know I've read in some of the old archives, and Hugh, you might be able to expand on this, but it was used as a military training ground too at times in the early days. So you don't know, who knows what you'll find.
It was World War I believe.
Yeah.
I did some quick calculations, and much to my surprise, the numbers are staggering. From about 1914 till today, there was the high school across the street on Newtown Lane, and now it's the middle school.
Yes.
I believe. With all the fairs, just general people going back and forth on the park. I mean, baseball games, Ladies Village Improvement Society. I mean, it was the center of town before people really took off and went to the beach. There were only 27 people per day entered that park for the last 100 years. That's over 1 million people that have graced those grounds. And that's just going back to 1914. 1914 going back to the mid-1600s, that park was farm field. So with our experience, Bob and I received permission to detect at the Most Holy Trinity Church on Buell Street from Reverend Ryan Creamer 3 years ago. And the shadow box.
That's the shadow box that we presented to the church.
On the
Some of the artifacts that we found.
You can see that. Good. And we made Bob's a shadow box guy. He's the he's the head guy here. And some of the more interesting artifacts Bob made the shadow box and presented it to Reverend Ryan Creamer to get to him to display. And we've had permission to go there whenever we want for the last 3 years, and we're still finding stuff. And that's playground behind the school, behind the church is where the kids would play. That goes back to I think the 60s or the 50s, and that was a farm field. And we found all kinds of stuff back there: tools, buttons. I mean, it's just, you can see old locks and spoons, and that property there. Herrick Park is probably 3 to 4 times the size of that property, and another couple hundred years older. So you may never get rid of us. Your renovation of the park on hold, we'll see you in a couple of years.
So we're here.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, next up is our village lifeguard, Drew Smith, Chief Lifeguard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Board of Trustees. Thank you, Brad, and the foundation for the donation of the rescue equipment. So I'd like to present the information about the lifeguard certification course that was approved by New York State this month. I would like to take a moment to thank John Tarbett, who's been a lifelong local lifeguard out here. He helped me from the idea phase to the organization all the way to the final product. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So what you're seeing on the slide here is the requirements that New York State asks us to write so that they can give us the acceptance on a course. The ocean course that we wrote, we'll have a qualifying run, swim, run to get into the course. It's set up as a 6-day academy of sorts. It'll create and build a fundamental foundation for any new lifeguard to go to their first day of work and kind of understand what tasks they'll be expected to do. On the last day, the students will have to pass a written exam as well as a practical exam in order to receive their CERF Level 1 certificate through New York State and Suffolk County. This is just another outlet similar to our neighbors at the town of East Hampton and Southampton Town, who run their own courses to get more lifeguards certified to protect the East End beaches. It's a really good opportunity, and I have been in communication with Chief John Ryan and his proctors over at the town of East Hampton. We'd like to continue our good work relationship and getting as many lifeguards certified as possible going into the summer months. So this is something the village has never had. We're excited to see how it rolls out and get it in action for us. Next slide, please. So another, to play off the donation of a new jet ski, Captain Brunner and myself were able to speak to K38 jet ski training course. Jason brought this course out to the village of East Hampton in the early 2000s initially, and then a few times in years after that. When we first introduced jet skis to the East End of Long Island here at the village of East Hampton, K38 is an internationally recognized course for rescue watercraft operation. Its instructor, Sean Eladio, who has a vast knowledge of the machines and everything they're capable of. Her course is extremely in depth in terms of teaching you how to understand the machinery, not only operate the machinery. It will include basic workplace safety, response protocols, risk management, task analysis, situational awareness, planning, hazard awareness, avoidance of, personal survival should you get into a bad situation on the small craft. It's a really good opportunity to get more training to East End lifeguards. We now have 2 of these rescue crafts on our beaches, so to elevate the level of training, I think is a step in the right direction. Jason is actually, when they're out here, is going to take a 5-day course and get his instructor certification. So the village of East Hampton will have an in-house K38 instructor, which is another first for the village of East Hampton and the ocean safety community. Next slide, please. While I'm up here, I just want to touch on some of the lifeguard and beach programs that we offer. The junior lifeguard is for ages 9 to 15 years old, teaches ocean awareness, team building, teaches ocean swimming. The basic equipment we use as lifeguards, it builds confidence. They can attend and compete in the USLA national tournament as a junior lifeguard. So it's a good environment to get kids down. Last year, our program doubled in numbers. The cadet program is something I introduced 2 years ago. It's for your 15-year-olds who are not 16 yet and able to take the lifeguard test. It prepares them for the lifeguard course they have ahead of them. It'll teach them basic first aid. It will teach them our radio communications as well as our different equipment, rescue techniques. We take the opportunity to teach them what to look for in the water. That way, when they do get to the final category, which is lifeguard, they're not only taking their test for the first time, but they're coming to any beach that they end up working with a fundamental, again, foundation of what's expected of them. Lifeguards will obtain their CERF Level 1 ocean open water certificate through the county of Suffolk County and New York State. They'll have basic first aid, CPR, and AED training. Once they turn 18, the K38 goes back to that jet ski training that they'll get. They'll have the ability to learn communications, whether it be hand signals, whistles, or radio communication that'll allow the beach to operate in the safest capacity possible. And they also will have the opportunity to go and travel to the USLA National Lifeguard Tournament and compete should they choose. I believe last year we sent 3. We sent 3 to nationals from East Hampton Village. So we're looking to hopefully increase that number this year. That's all.
Congratulations and thanks. I know it was a lot of work back and forth with the state, so
yeah, it was
nicely done. I also wanted to see if Deputy Mayor Minority would want to say anything. He's our liaison to the beaches from the board. And I know a lot of this is at his direction, and the beaches have just become incredibly much better under your work. And we're hoping that we get back into the top 10 this year. So,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Drew and Jason. You guys have done such a great job. I think the vision that we had for the beaches, we had high expectations, but we knew we could get, on the right path. And I know that all of our village beaches have come a long way in a very short amount of time. And a lot of it, Drew, is to your hard work, and Jason, your hard work. Our beaches are fully staffed, they're safe, they're clean, and we're trying to attract and retain the best lifeguards possible for our beaches. So again, we just don't have village residents at our beaches. We've got everyone at our beaches too. And so again, we continue the momentum to keep our beaches the best beaches in the country, if not the world. And, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next up is a board discussion about the survey that we did about 3 issues. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to table that until next month. Trustee Melendez was called away suddenly today, so I think it's only fair that we have her here for this discussion. So I'm going to table that, and we're going to get into our public hearings. Obviously, I would assume everyone's here for the ambulance, but if there are some people here for these other public hearings, we'll do those first. They should be pretty fast, and then we can get into what everyone is here for. So if Lorraine would read the first public hearing.
Acceptance of sanitary easement from Cheerio Corporation by the Village of East Hampton.
Gotta speak up.
Acceptance of sanitary easement from Cheerio Corporation by the Village of East Hampton for property located within the Rudersham parking lot.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak about this? Anybody from the board?
About the acceptance, there's no microphones.
LTV didn't give us microphones.
Our in-room amplification did not work because it had a delay on it, and people were complaining about the delay. We have since October turned off the in-room amplification because people constantly complained about the delay. So hence, the microphones were only for broadcast from that point onwards.
Thank you.
This is the first time that you've had an audience, though, that is so large that it has required in-room amplification. So I understand the complaint. I understand the problem about it. We will do everything that we can with the village to fix it moving forward. But this is due to the fact that we've had a large audience for the first time since having a hybrid system. So again, my apologies, but I can let you know that we will move forward with this. If you would like to, I can read the...
Sure.
Easier.
All right, we're going to reread the first public hearing.
Acceptance of sanitary easement from Cheerio Corporation by the Village of East Hampton for property located within the Rudersham parking lot. Acceptance of what? Sanitary easement.
All right, is there anyone who would like to be heard on this matter? Any board member?
No.
Can I get a motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The hearing is closed. Next hearing.
Introductory number 5, 2022, a proposed local law amending definitions, non-conforming buildings and area, setback and height regulations with respect to pickleball courts and tennis courts.
Is there anyone who needs to be heard on this?
We are renoticing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. So introductory number 5 and introductory number 1
Yes.
are going to be not on for today. And we're going to renotice them for April 21st?
21st.
April 21st. So, all right. So now we're into introductory number 2. Well, let me just back up. Yeah, just go with introductory number 2.
Introductory number 2, 2023, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code by adding Chapter 36 to codify the East Hampton Village Police Department as a department of village government.
Chief, could you talk about that?
Thank you. Basically, what this is it codifies the relationship between the chief of police and the mayor operationally in times of emergencies, disasters, and so on. Basically, it codifies the relationship legally between the mayor and the chief of police, who is appointed by the mayor during times of emergencies, exigent circumstances, and so forth. The mayor answers to the trustees, and in the time of crisis or what's the word I'm looking for? Emergency. The mayor comes to me, he gets the information from me, I go back to the mayor, and it goes back to the board. It also codifies the rules that everyone in the police department reports to the chief reports to the mayor. The other thing it does, it gives the chief the ability to determine how many officers, how many sergeants, how many detectives, how many captains, how many lieutenants. Currently, that's not codified in law, and we end up going to civil service and writing a desk audit statement, so to speak. Our rank and file goes up and down with the wind, not literally, but it needed to be done basically. So that the board and the mayor, but specifically the mayor, determines how many people are in my department. And really for cleaning the law up and putting things where they should be. And it is, it is how we operate now. So most recently, the mayor, we've got all different departments, put my position in a position of coordinating the other departments in a state of emergency. So it would be my obligation, not in a command way, but an obligation to go out and find out where is everybody, where is highway, one-stop shopping, where is the beaches, where is everybody, and report back to him. So it works now. It's something that needed to be done, but now it's going to be codified. So that's pretty much it.
So for clarification, you're saying, sure.
We're not up to this yet. No, just give me a minute, Maureen. All right, are you done?
I'm done.
All right, so obviously the police department has been in existence since 1920 when the village was incorporated. This has been something that the village attorney has pointed out that we need to have this in our code. And that's why this legislation, the fire department legislation, and the ambulance legislation is all coming about today. This is the first one that's that's being read as a public hearing. So now, if there's anyone who would like to speak, please step up to the podium. And if you would, just state who you are, just for LTV.
For LTV, this is Maureen Blue George.
Can you speak up?
Yep. I just want clarification. How are we operating now? And how is this different? So are we approving a change in government policy that allows the mayor to run the police department, to run the ambulance society, and you mentioned one other?
I'll answer that question. Okay. The police department and the fire department are already in New York state law that the mayor and the village board already are in charge of those departments under New York State village law. That's already codified. All we're doing is basically putting it into our code, similar to what we do with other laws that are within the state. The village just basically copies them and puts them in the village code. So
just changing the village code.
We're already authorized under the state to do this. We're just putting it into our village code. Maybe the village attorney, can you add to that? Or am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. So
our village code is outdated?
Well, the village code is outdated, and we have been, with the attorney's help, we've been updating this over the last 3 years, section by section. And then where things are missing, we are adding. So yes, the village code is outdated. The village comprehensive plan is outdated. The village fire trucks were outdated. The village highway department trucks were outdated. So everything is outdated. And we're slowly working on all of that to get it back up to where it should be. So
Okay, so there's no change in operation.
no change in operations, correct. Is there anybody else who would like to be heard on this one? Any village board member? Can I get a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our hearing's closed. The next one is introduction number 3, Lorraine. I'm sorry, go to 4, do 4, do 3 last.
Introductory number 4, 2023, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code by adding Chapter 37 to codify the East Hampton Fire Department as a department of village government.
Thank you. This is the same situation where this is already under state law, and this law mimics that law and clearly states that the village board are the fire commissioners, which is the same as it's always been. It just now says it. So is there anybody from the audience who would like to be heard on this? Any board member? I was going to ask Kenny Cullum, who just got called away on a fire call, to speak about it, but
Fire chief here?
so if there's nobody who would like to be heard? Is the fire chief here?
So, fire chief.
Is the fire chief here? We went on a call too. All right. So can I get a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Hold until they get back?
No.
I spoke to him yesterday.
All right. So the hearing is closed. All right. Next hearing.
Introductory number 3, 2023, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code by adding Chapter 38, establishing a Department of Emergency Medical Service, EMS, as a department of village government.
Great. Thank you. So before we get into this, I have some statements I would like to make, and then I will ask people to speak, and then I will open it up to public comments. So what I'd like to start off by saying is I've been doing this a long time as well. I've been in public service. I was in the police department for 34 years. I was chief of police for 14 years. I was in charge of emergency services for the village for 14 years. If you're going to interrupt me, I'll ask you to leave. Thank you. Let me start off by saying we're going to treat each other with respect here today. And when people are speaking, I would ask everybody to be respectful of that. That's all I can ask you. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you to leave. So I'd appreciate everybody's cooperation. I know emotions are high, but the only way we can conduct things is to be ladies and gentlemen to each other. So that's all I'm asking you to do. All right, so I'm going to start again. I was also in charge of the 911 dispatch for the entire town for 14 years. I am now the mayor. So I speak from experience, I speak from my knowledge, and I've done this with you. I've been on hundreds and hundreds of ambulance calls with the volunteers. And I want to start off by saying I respect every one of our volunteers for the job they do. I appreciate it. We could not do the job we do without the volunteers. No one is trying to eliminate the volunteer program at all. The newspapers haven't helped the situation. The rumors haven't helped the situation. So I want to start off with the history of the village ambulance. We're going to go back to 1920, everybody. So if we could put up the slides for me, LTV.
Yep.
So the village has had an ambulance since 1920. They bought their first ambulance in 1920. I don't have a picture of that one, but I do have a picture of the 1929 ambulance, the Cadillac, that was donated to the village in 1928. So it was in 1929, and the picture's on the screen. It's kind of, I think it was like $6,000 for that brand new, beautiful ambulance. So the village has always run its ambulance. And until 1970s. In 1970s, the village allowed a group of people that were in the ambulance to form an association called the East Hampton Village Association. Village Ambulance Association. They were not a legal entity until 2004. If you could put up the next slide for me, you'll see in this memo from then village attorney to then village administrator, it's very clear in there that based on the questions that Larry Cantwell was asking Linda Riley, that the ambulance was run by the village. It was a village municipal ambulance, and that was in 2003, this email. Next slide. Then there was a letter that was authored by Larry Cantwell, then village administrator, to Lisa Shard, who was in charge of the East Hampton Village Ambulance Association. And it is clear in that letter that the village ran the ambulance, and the association was to become an official, at his direction, was to become an official association under the state of New York. Next slide. In 2004, this is another memo from Larry Cantwell to Lisa Shard, explaining that the village ambulance is and acts more or less as a volunteer public service and fraternal organization, and receives contributions and expends monies as such in ways this is similar to fire departments. However, the state law is silent. Like I said earlier, state law clearly states how fire departments function. State law is silent on ambulance companies. So at the village administrator's request, he requested that the association form a legal entity under the state of New York. Next slide. Later on in 2004, the association did form a legal entity. And you can see that the corporation was formed for a very specific reason. And the reason was to promote and encourage brotherhood, guidance, and training among volunteer ambulance workers for who? For the village of East Hampton. Okay, so the village is clearly in 2004 still in charge and still running its ambulance. The village did each year approve the association's bylaws, which gave them the ability to run the ambulance. For the last 2 years since I've been elected, well, that's not, hold on. So in 2020, I was elected as mayor. Since then, I hold department meetings every Monday morning with all of my department heads, which is our highway department, our fire department, our police department, and our beach staff, and our fire marshal, and our building department. And they're all there, and we share ideas, and we let each other know what's going on within each organization. We answer questions. We talk about personnel. The ambulance refused to attend those meetings. And then, until recently, with the new chiefs, we do have a very good relationship, and they attend every one of those Monday morning meetings. So, but I want to get back on track and how this all started to go bad. In 2022, this board authorized $130,000 to help fund paid EMTs to supplement and help the volunteers meet their calls. The volunteers do a great job, but they answer 1,400 calls a year, and they need help. This board is giving money to help the cause. We're not trying to eliminate volunteers. We are trying to help our volunteers meet the calls that they need to call. This is not about charging for ambulance service. This is not about taking over anything. This is about taking back what has always been a village ambulance. And when you have leadership that refuses to deal with the village board and the village mayor, it can't work that way. We have new chiefs that I've gone to, and I've asked them to implement certain changes to policies that I find that are not good for village residents, such as just letting volunteers join the ambulance to be drivers that don't have to be EMTs, just can come in and drive the ambulance. And what happens is we found out that even if the chiefs agree with an idea and they bring it back, they don't have the authority to implement the policies and the procedures. It has to go to a membership vote. And then it's decided by the membership whether this is good for the organization or bad for the organization. That particular thing that I asked to get done was voted down by the membership. If I go to the chief of police or any of my department heads, but using the chief of police, and I say, listen, chief, I'm getting a lot of complaints on Main Street about speeding cars and residents are up in arms. Could you please put some radar on Main Street? And the chief agrees with me. If he had to take that back to the membership, to the police officers and say, hey guys, the mayor would like this done. Would you all in agreement with this? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But how can we get anything done that's best for residents if we don't have the ability to ask for it to be done and for it to be done? It doesn't work. You can't have leadership by a majority vote. It has to be leadership has to be by the knowledgeable people that we put in charge. It makes the most sense. We have two chiefs that were elected by the association in November. Mary Mott and Mary Ellen McGuire were elected by your group, the association. And they took office in January, and they have received nothing but resistance from a small group of you, not the whole association, 7 or 8 of you that are causing most of the rip through this organization. So we are going to restructure this organization to work more like the police department, to work more like the fire department. The village board cannot, remember, the village board is responsible for the health and safety of this community, not the association. So it has to be, if I'm responsible for it and I need to get things done, we have to be able to get things done. There's no organization, I would dare you to find me an organization that lets its employees or its under, not their top management, run the policies and procedures of the organization. There's none that I know of except for East Hampton Village Ambulance Association. So the policies that the new structure that we're putting in place in no way impacts volunteers from providing the community service that they signed up, that they love to do. And I had this conversation with the membership that I finally was able to have a meeting with a couple of weeks ago. There is not a thing that we're doing with this new structure that will stop anyone from being a volunteer, from performing their duties that they want to do. None. And you'll have your moment. You can talk. You don't have to make faces. You'll have your moment.
You have to stop making faces, actually. It's very distracting.
You'll have your moment, okay?
Please stop.
You'll have your
Please
moment.
stop.
All right? So, again, we welcome, and I welcomed the association. We would like to, the association will continue as a fraternal organization, which is what they were created to do. And we're happy to negotiate a contract with the association to provide training, brotherhood, like you were created to do, and recruitment. And for that, the village will have an agreement with the association to provide that. So moving forward, you're going to have 2 organizations. You're going to have a village department, EMS department, that will be run by chiefs. It's going to start out with the same chiefs that you voted in. They're going to start out being the chiefs. They will recommend promotions to captains and lieutenants. And then you will have the fraternal organization, which will continue as you were created to do, to, be a fraternal organization, have your events, have, provide training and provide recruitment. And that's what we're trying to do. This in no way affects the job that the volunteers do. And no one, and this is not as much as I hear it on social media or I see it on social media, from the disgruntled people that have left, that this is all a money grab for insurance companies, and that is not true. And I told the membership at our meeting and by the way, most of the disgruntled people who have resigned didn't even have the courtesy to show up for that meeting. And they would have heard what I said. And you have a promise from this board and from myself, we will not charge anybody in our community until we have a conversation with the association and with our volunteers. That's not what this is about. This is about a responsibility of the village board to provide a service to its residents. And if I have to provide that service, then I need the chiefs of that organization to have the ability to implement policies and procedures without being vetoed. That's what this is all about. I am done with my lecture. So I would like next, I'm going to call up Mary Ellen McGuire, who is the current ambulance assistant chief. Mary Mott had a prior engagement up in Buffalo that her granddaughter, I believe, was in.
She did.
So if you're going to have to speak up, though. I really want.
I can speak up. Everybody knows in the back I can speak up. And I'm Mary Ellen McGuire, but right now, for this moment, I'm going to be Mary Mott. I have the opportunity to do that. She's with her grandchildren at a previous engagement. Good morning. My name is Mary Mott, and I'm the current East Hampton Village Ambulance Chief, voted in by the ambulance membership at our department meeting November 29th, 2022. I'm a 35-year member. A past chief, I have run over 7,000 calls during that time. I'm a New York State Department of Health Certified Instructor Coordinator, and through the Department of Suffolk County Emergency Medical Services, have been teaching the local EMT class in Sag Harbor for 30 years. Today I stand before you to talk about why I believe the proposal regarding the creation of the East Hampton Ambulance as a Department of Village Government is a worthwhile endeavor. I would like to present 3 key points that I feel will support my beliefs and the village's decision as well. First, many people may ask, who has operational authority over East Hampton Village Ambulance? I believe that authority lies with East Hampton Village, and I do not agree with the statement coming from some former members of the department that the ambulance has been taken over by the village, and it is forcing the volunteers out. Let me explain my position with 2 brief observations that have come to light over the past year. To begin, the East Hampton Village is authorized to provide general ambulance services pursuant to Section 122B, General Municipal Law. This law specifically authorizes the village to provide an emergency medical service to our community. Additionally, the New York State Department of Health issues a formal permit known as the Certificate of Need, which grants the East Hampton Village the ability to provide specific healthcare services. Last summer, upon request by the village, the New York State Department of Health reviewed its files and history and of the ownership of the ambulance service certificate. They corrected the name of the certificate holder to reflect the original and true owner, the Village of East Hampton. The corrected certificate was issued by the Department of Health on September 15, 2022. Both of these documents are clear in their designation of authority over matters affecting the health and welfare of village residents and their role and oversight of the ambulance as a department within village government. Secondly, over the past year, the village determined that there is a need to change the existing operational structure of East Hampton Village Ambulance and to establish a new ambulance operating model. What was the thinking and observations that went into this decision for restructuring? The public generally expects when they call 911 for a medical emergency, someone will come, day or night, rain or shine, one for an individual, or an incident involving many patients. At times, our system struggled to be reliable and prepared. There were inconsistent responses due to the time of day, how many ambulances and crew were out on a previous call, weekends, holidays. The day squads had gaps in coverage or uneven resource allocation due to some days having multiple personnel coverage problems on a shift, or other days or busy times having empty shifts. Dispatch was generating multiple tones to scramble crews. Extended on-scene response time occurred, and mutual aids from other departments were needed. This is by no means a negative portrayal of the East Hampton volunteers' desire to provide pre-hospital emergency care for their community. This, however, describes a true picture that not just our department experiences, but all departments on the East End. We are all feeling the strain of increased call demand, time spent on each call, training requirements, and lack of membership availability. These situations, however, are real issues, but they're not insurmountable. But when recognized as situations needing improvement, they need to be addressed and evaluated for their overall lack of effectiveness in a forum of open communication and shared desire to make system improvements. The village set up meetings and requested open dialogue on the part of the ambulance administration in order to seek mutually agreed upon methods to resolve these areas needing improvement. No resolution occurred. The village believed the lack of ambulance department communication in good faith was resulting in the inability to effect needed change. Seeing that change was necessary but unable to engage in meaningful dialogue, the village then determined that restructuring was the path to improve and provide effective ambulance service for the community. My third and final point is, how can the restructured department move forward in its goal to supply timely, competent, and caring pre-hospital emergency care? The ambulance is currently a hybrid system consisting of both paid and volunteer responders. The department answers about 1,400 calls annually. We have recently lost about a dozen volunteers due to their general disagreement with the direction of the department due to the village's proposal before you today, along with its future involvement and oversight. Please note that these volunteers were not forced out, that their perspective of the evolving situation moved them to their choice to leave. So you might be thinking, if it was difficult with a full complement of responders in the past, how would an EMS response look now? How will the areas mentioned above be handled by the ambulance if the department has lost almost 30% of its membership and they walked away? The immediate considerations will be to hire additional paid staff, to fill empty shifts, to advertise for new membership, and to continue forward in the slow process of positive rebuilding strategies. Fortunately, this can now happen when all parties, both the village board and the ambulance, can communicate together to agree on the same goal and the best path for success in providing pre-hospital emergency care to the community. I believe the restructuring will be a new beginning. This is the perfect opportunity to reimagine, rethink, and redesign the department. What do we want for the future? How can we develop a strong EMS response for our community? How willing will the members who did not walk away want to truly be open-minded and part of the change going forward and not hold on to the past? By definition, change is a departure from the past. Going forward will no doubt have its challenges, identified difficulties, and associated uncertainties. But failure to make assessment and changes in current operational practices because of pride, tradition, or minimizing events that require addressing will not excuse an ambulance service from failing to provide the safety net it has committed to provide for the community. I recognize that there are many here today that do not agree with my position. These people have their fixed mindset and have chosen their own path and reasons for leaving the department that they have been volunteering with. That, of course, was their choice. In conclusion, the East Hampton Village has taken past documented policy, law, and practices, as you saw here today, which over decades are both in verbal and written form, and placed it under an umbrella of one operational format and formed the department called East Hampton EMS, a department within East Hampton Village government. The action was necessary for proper review and reevaluation of the organization and administration of the department. The final result of this proposal will be a restructuring model that will produce a clear understanding of East Hampton Village's administrative authority, chain of command, and workplace practices. I urge you to favorably consider the proposal put forth today as an important beginning step in the goal of providing and strengthening the EMS system within our response area. But most importantly, East Hampton EMS has served its community well in the past and East Hampton EMS will continue to serve the community well in the future. Thank you. And that's from our chief, Mary Mott, and now it's my turn. And I pale for as many years as I've been in compared to her. I'm only in my 19th year as an EMT with the ambulance. 6 of those years I spent as chief and assistant chief. I understand the leadership difficulties as well as membership queries and unrest. All associations need to morph and they need to adapt to the times and find change very difficult. Leaving what you know and embarking on what you are not so sure about is unsettling and can be overwhelming. Members in associations resist change. It's endemic to the makeup of these organizations. Asking a group to leave their comfort zone and embark on a new direction will almost always spark controversy. Thus, the reason we have the split in our EMS world. We need to realize that in this day and age, we cannot be our own microcosm. We have always been under the leadership and control of the village. The village owns every piece of equipment we have. We need to acquiesce to the reality of the times and accept stricter oversight and assistance. Our infrastructure will crumble without support. Everyone in our village leaders has applauded our volunteers, and they want to help all of us, help you. The mission of the East Hampton Village Ambulance has always been to maintain a system capable of timely response to the members of our community in times of crisis by delivering quality pre-hospital emergency treatment and transportation. We have accomplished our mission, and we will continue to do so with a hybrid organization, one that has volunteers and paid providers to augment our response and efficacy. We need to embrace the change and move forward in a positive manner. I believe the village is helping us do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I'm going to ask Chief Tracy to get up, and talk about the paid. So EMS has two components. One is the volunteers, and the other is the paid portion. The volunteers are currently under the ambulance chiefs, and the paid part is under the police department. In 2014, when I was village police chief, I urged the village board at the time to participate in the paramedic program, which other departments were already doing around us. And the reason for that is because the volunteers were having a hard time providing AEMTs, advanced medical, emergency medical technicians. So we implemented that. The village board put it under the police department, and it currently is still under the police department. Under the new structure, that department will now fall under the ambulance chiefs. So it'll be one integrated system of paid and volunteers run by the volunteer ambulance chiefs. I think it will help tremendously to have everybody working together under the same boss. So I would like Mike Tracy, the chief of police, to speak about the paid program right now. If you could stand up, though, because I really have to apologize. This was a bad day to not have microphones. So we didn't know that was going to happen. This is a very important meeting, and I want to make sure you hear everyone. So please speak up.
You say if you're hard of hearing, they should come up.
Thank you. So in 2014, as the mayor said, the village decided.
You really got to yell.
Yeah. 2014, the village hired and started our paid EMS system, which was paramedics initially, and the village police department was the first overseers. The chief of police was the first overseer of the paid program, working with the chiefs. But our function was to screen the people that were looking to get hired, do background checks on them. We morphed some of our rules and procedures in the police department, mostly the behavioral, into that organization. About an 11-page document. Most of it was not medically oriented because we don't have and we don't pretend to have medical expertise. Some more than us, but not anywhere near what the ambulance chiefs have. So we stayed in one corner of the operation, mostly administrative. If there was a problem disciplinary-wise, or there was a complaint, that would come to me from the chiefs. So over the course of the years, in my opinion, I think it's worked very, very, very well. We're changing it now for reasons I'll just briefly touch on. But what came to pass is that there was not a harmonious relationship between the paid and the volunteer. Believe me, friction started on day one. And with different paramedics being the lead paramedic, different chiefs, different personalities, there was, I'm not going to say it was normal tension, but there was some divisiveness in the organization. As we moved forward in the organization, the paid organization grew larger. We had a series of different disputes and so forth, but everything was investigated. We tracked everything down. I'm going to say almost never was there a founded instance where we had to step in disciplinary-wise, and nor should you ever have to. It's the same thing with the PD, and fire has a very similar setup. What's happened most recently, I think, in my opinion, it's been brought to the board's attention and to the village's attention that regardless of who the chiefs are, they don't really have control of that organization. So you can have bylaws for an organization, but a department of the village or any department has to have operating rules and procedures. And operating rules and procedures are not written by and not chosen by the membership. That's more for your fraternal side and your bylaws. The police department doesn't have bylaws. We don't have bylaws. We have rules and procedures. And the rules and procedures are written by me, but they are subject to oversight from my bosses. Now, if everything works well, as it should, going forward with this law, in the perfect world, the chiefs of the ambulance, and only the chiefs of the ambulance, are going to oversee the rules and procedures operationally, medically, and they don't have as much authority as one would think. They have to go by what the county and the state says. So they're very strict. What the ambulance folks have to go through, what the paid volunteer, they're all the same. What they have to go through is rigorous, and it is limited. Their authority is limited by state public health law and also county health law, which is pretty much one and the same. So I don't want to drag this out, but ideally, with the chiefs having the control of their own rules and procedures, subject to review, and not subject to vote of the membership, that's absolutely necessary for effectiveness and cohesiveness. Now, you have different levels of training. You have different levels of certification within the group as it is now. And someone with 40 years experience, that's an advanced, I think we have even one nurse in it. People that have higher level of training, higher level of knowledge in emergency medicine, having the same vote on an operational rule as someone that has none or very little, that's not efficient. That's not functional. It's not even right. It's not even safe. So, on the political end of this discussion, I just have this to say: you have in this community the best ambulance, best fire, and of course I'm biased, best police. You have the best group right here now, and it would be a shame if anyone leaves the group moving forward without first taking ownership, so to speak, like the emergency medical service. Take ownership, and you should be right in the chief's ear. Stay, get in their ear, give them ideas, and then when they are ready to leave, make sure that one of you in this organization rises to the top and becomes the next chief, the next assistant chief. This organization is everyone's for the taking, but it's got to have oversight. It's got to have leadership, and you cannot have any obstructions when it comes to public safety. Nobody should be be able to block a common sense policy that the chiefs come up. That's just ludicrous, insulting, and we've never had a problem. And the way to educate the village about that is to tell them, we're not doing it. We're not changing this, we're not changing that. And the chiefs go to the village and say, I can't change it. You asked me to change something, very simple. I can't change it. I don't have the authority. The result of that is more pay, and the result of people leaving will be more pay. So this path is not the path to success. Communicating, talking, getting people in the room together, I think this is a very simple solution to work out. Ideally, this should look exactly like the fire. Fire chiefs have control, yes, but the fire chiefs, long ago it began, have been appointed by the village board. And there's no reason for it to be any different with the ambulance going forward. So there's a tremendous amount of distrust among the members. Don't shake your head, please. Just wait. Yes, right now. But they have no authority to get anything done. Because the group.
They're talking about the fire department.
Oh, you're talking about the fire
Elected
department?
rather than.
Yes, and then they're appointed by the board. Yes. Yes, but the ones that you just voted on, and they appointed. You put.
It was a vote of no confidence. Nobody voted.
Listen, ma'am, I'm going to say what I have to say. You're more than welcome to get up later on and talk. Your two ambulance chiefs right now can get nothing done without a vote of the group. It is true. What a great way to wake up the village and say, hey, you don't have any say either. It has to change. They don't have any choice. They have no choice. The best thing for everybody to do is do it together. Work on it together. The people that are in the association, people that joined the emergency medical service, they should be working together so everybody knows who's going to be the best new chief, who's going to be the best leader, what's going to be in the interest of the public and the senior citizens in this community. There should be no fear among the public, right organization, and the behavior of some have fallen where we don't want to go. Both sides. Okay, but it's got to be put back together. People got to get in the room together, do the best thing for the public, do the best thing for the patients, and get this done. So we need to put it behind us and move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Good morning, well, it's good afternoon. I think most people know who I am. I work for the village. My name is JP Foster. I'm the Chief of Communications. I've been here for 33 years. I've worked closely with both sides of this room, I guess we'll say, for many years. And, I think at the end of the day, the one thing that has to be mentioned is patient care. And, the mayor was then the police chief at the time when we went through some change. And change is difficult, and dispatch changed. And when you look at it for what it is, dispatch is your first point of patient care. That's where it begins. And I think at the end of the day, that's the number one, I think, issue that's at hand here is patient care. And we begin it in dispatch. So when you take the pay that had to be initiated at some point, it's tough to swallow. No one wants to hear it. No one wants to have it. But we needed it. You look at our staffing. I have 16 people that work for me. Okay, they're in the room every day. So when they pick the phone up, patient care begins with that dispatcher. The dispatcher starts to give patient care. So to give you an example, when you take a call and you dispatch it, we have to give pre-arrival instructions. Okay, so the pre-arrival instructions are one of the things you say to someone is help is on the way. Well, we couldn't say that. We can say help has been sent. Now we have paid medics, so I can look out the window and go, oh, yep, I can see the 80 car is leaving the building. I can watch. I can actually now say help is on the way. We've done that. It's been changed. Some of it was painful. It was difficult, but it's the right thing for people. You have to have some sort of rules, some sort of a semblance. I wanted, the mayor and I have had many, many discussions over the years. There was some change that I had to accept. I didn't necessarily love it, but after you look back at it, you're like, okay, I get it. To do something the same way you've done it for 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, because that's the way it's always been, it's just not the answer. And I think that, the change that's here today from my office, and I'll take this second because I don't get to speak often, and you'll know why, because I talk too long. That's and I know that's one of my downfalls. And I'm following him, so I'll be quick. Thank the people in my department. They are the first point of contact. We love the volunteers. I was a certified first responder at one point, which is just the notch below EMT. I would love to volunteer. I've offered to volunteer for 20 years. I'd be a driver. But I don't want to. I'm not touching anybody. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't be a driver. I can walk to the firehouse from where I live, but I wasn't. The rule wouldn't allow me to do that. I don't want to go to EMT school. I don't. That's not what I want to do. I'll drive. I'll get stuff for you. Whatever. But I'm just here to support it from that standpoint. And I think that you have to understand from the dispatch standpoint and what we do. I need to know that someone's responding, and I think it all ties together. I think it's a win for your department to have EMTs. And your folks be the exact representative, like the chief will have control over the paid medics. I think that needs to be done. It wasn't that way before. It needs to be done. You guys need to know how they respond, what they respond to, and where they go. I think that's a win. The police department can continue to do the things such as the backgrounds and the administrative stuff. Because if you have paid personnel in Suffolk County, civil services is not going to allow anything beyond that. Paid has to work for paid. So there's that side of it. I'm just here for that portion of it, and I'm not going to take up any more time because I know there's a lot of people that want to speak, but I think that's something that has to be thought about. Thank you.
Thanks. I'd like Anthony Carlo to come up. He's our head of our paid program. He's a paramedic, and he's been here since 2014. I would just like him to let us know the relationship between the paid and the volunteer, or a certain percentage of the volunteer, a certain group.
Well, my name is Anthony Carlo. I'm the lead of the East Hampton Village paid system of the paramedics and the EMTs. When the system first started under Chief Lawson at the time, was the paid paramedics, because the village needed to bring a level of care to a higher standard. You needed ALS on multiple calls. And to do that, we needed to assist the volunteers, who at the time, I believe, only had 3 ALS providers. They can't handle, at that time, was 1,200 calls maybe a year. Can't have that. So we were brought in, and the transition mostly was pretty smooth with the paid paramedics. I've got to know each and every one of you personally, and like I've always said to people who have asked me, whenever I've been asked here, I am a guest here, and I've always treated like that. You guys are volunteers, we always need you, and that's the way I've always looked at it. Then an issue was started to happen with multiple activations. Some mutual aid, the mutual aids have gone up, they go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. And at time, Mayor Lawson saw a need to bring in paid EMTs to assist, again, the volunteers. This was met with resistance at first by a small group of people, not everybody. I want to be clear on that. It was not everybody. I had 3 paid EMTs who were asked to be here. They didn't come here and say, I'm working. They were invited to work here. They're in an interview, and the assistant chief at the time comes in and goes, there's 2 ways it could have been done, but the way it was picked was verbally abusive to the EMTs. It was, I want you to be aware, quote, I want you to be aware that people who don't want you here, don't think you belong here, and don't think you're needed here. 3 brand new EMTs. First words out of their mouth when that individual left the room, I guess we just met one of the people who don't want us here. And I said, no, you met 2 of them, the other one didn't say anything. That was hard to keep them, those new EMTs to stay here and work. And it's been difficult. There have been issues in the past where things have been said on the ambulance when the paid EMT is in the back as, who's that in the back? And it was, oh, that's one of the paid EMTs that the village thinks we need, but we don't need them. Again, by the same assistant chief. Nothing was ever put in writing, nothing was ever said, nothing was done until an incident with a member with 2 female paid EMTs wrote 2 separate letters on this individual, and the individual was suspended by the E-board of the village, and I believe that was definitely the right thing to do. Since then, please let me finish. It has been getting better. Recruitment has been difficult, but it has been getting better. I ask the EMTs all the time, has there been any more altercations or anything? And they say, no. We come in, we do our job. Sometimes they talk to us, sometimes they don't. And that's all I can ask. If they're just do your job, and it's been going good. But recruitment has been tough. When the system first started and the resentment and the individuals who were against it, again, please, not everybody. You guys, it's not everybody. The attitudes of that is all the way up island, where I'm trying to recruit people who I know are very good EMTs, who can handle a call by themselves if necessary. So why do I want to go out there when the volunteers don't want us and don't want to work with us? So I try to get the people who are working with me to talk to them, and they say, no, it ain't that bad, but the stain is out there. It's out there. Trying to correct it. I get people to come in, and as of lately, we've been getting EMTs. We just interviewed 3 part-time EMTs. We're gonna interview for 2 full-time EMTs, only to fill the open slots that we have. Again, this paid system can't work without you folks. It can't. And please, I need you, the medics need you, the village needs you. Leaving and quitting, all that does is put your community at risk. Whether you have a difference with the mayor or your side or their side, I get it. I've been through this 3 times with 3 other agencies. There's always conflict, always. But you know what happens? The ambulance always gets on the road, whether they hire more people or more EMTs come. The ambulance will get on the road. It will happen. There might be rough roads ahead. We might need mutual aid from other people, but it will work out and the ambulance will get on the road. And you quitting only puts your community at risk. And worst of all, your families are at risk. The people in your district, families, because you can no longer come down and grab that ambulance and help them. And when they activate once, twice, 3 times, 3, 6, 9 minutes, mutual aid, and let's say Amagansett gets on the road, 12 minutes, and that person's not breathing, brain death starts at 6 minutes. So please, reconsider. If anything, I need you, the ambulance needs you, the community needs you, and the paid staff needs you, because without you guys, we don't know the district as well as you guys. We don't know the ins and outs of the drivers, which can only add time. But again, the ambulance will get out, whether you do it or don't do it. So whether they go more paid, and I don't think anybody wants that, we can all work together. I believe we can all work together. But again, this is my 3rd time doing this through 3 different agencies. And it's the most resistance I've ever seen. But the ambulance always gets on the road. Whether there's rough road ahead and it smooths out, like when the Long Island Expressway is being paved, God forbid, but it always smooths out. The ambulance will get on the road. And that's all I got to say. We're here for you guys. We are guests in your building. We're here for you. You can't get out. You're at a barbecue and you can't get out for that one call. You want to stay with your family? Okay, the pay provider's here. Anybody who is against that EMT, I have one question for you. Excuse me, my mouth was dry. If that EMT, paid EMT, is in this building and can go on 1, 2, 3, 4 calls and can save 1 life, and the people who are against that person being in this building, paid EMT, I actually asked me one question. If that paid EMT is not in this building to be used, how does that help the patient if they're not here? If that ambulance don't get on the road? You can't answer that. So we all need to work together. We need to work with the mayor. Mayor needs to work with you. We need to open a dialogue, and we all need to come together, because this resistance is only going to hurt the patient. It's all about the patient. It's not about me. It's not about the mayor. It's not about Mary Mott. It's not about Mary Ellen. It's not about the people who are against this. And I understand it's not about that. It's all about that one thing, the person who called for that ambulance, period. Whether it's a stubbed toe or a chest pain or they're not breathing, they think it's an emergency, they want an ambulance. And that's what we're here for. And that's pretty much all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Any board member that wants to speak? All right, we're going to open it up to the public. I would ask that You come up, state your name and who you are, and feel free to address the board.
Sorry, John.
And again, I apologize for no microphone, so I just need you to speak up.
Don't worry. My name is Terry Bertha. I am still a volunteer EMT. I've only been here for 7 years. I have so many things to choose from, but let me see if I can remember. First of all, Tony, it wasn't necessary to say 2 female EMTs. It had nothing to do with male or female. We know who you're talking about.
Excuse me, could you just address the board with your comments?
You couldn't hear that?
No, that's not, you need to address the board
Okay.
about your problems with this law.
Yes, the problem with this law is you had an idea and we don't know what the plan is. We kept on asking our membership what the plan was and we weren't getting any answers. How does it affect me? How does it affect my call times? You have an idea, but you didn't give us a plan. And the people that were elected, because nobody else voted for them, so it was a vote of no confidence, kept on telling us, we don't know, we don't know, we don't know. We needed communication, and that's why we're disgruntled. We were lied to, we wanted to know the information, we wanted to know what's going on, and we weren't getting that. There's a lot of things that you guys said. First you say you love us, and then you say we're disgruntled. You actually told someone that we were a disgrace. So how do you think we feel? I don't think this is a good idea because you're going to have a big recruitment problem. You can't get people to serve in restaurants where they make hundreds of dollars a night, and you're going to pay them how much an hour to come through that traffic unless you start offering them housing. So what is the end game with this? You talk about everyone's disgruntled. No, it's a small group of people.
It is.
People who have put in decades. You have gotten rid of decades and decades of experience. And it's not us hurting the community because we're going to other ambulance corps to do this. So you have to think about getting out the plan. I want to see the plan because I thought it used to be the bylaws that you approved and then said, go with it. So that was our operational plan. The New York State tells us what we have to do medically and what our requirements are, and then we had the bylaws, and everybody was happy. And no one is mentioning that a lot of these problems came with COVID. A lot of people couldn't serve, so our numbers and our mutual aids went this way and that way. A lot of people got COVID and still wanted to serve. So in the past 3 years, you're using those numbers against us, which really we just got from dispatch that it's not the way you said. We have been mutual aiding more out than in, and we've been answering more calls. So what's it, you know? You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth. And there's so much more I'd like to say, but so did they. So
I didn't want to interrupt you when you were speaking. So I just want to address a couple of things. Did you receive an email from me in July asking you for a private meeting?
Yes.
So I could explain what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
Did you respond to that email?
I waited to see if other people showed up. And when they told me they walked in alone and were met by a phalanx of lawyers and cops, people in uniform and all that stuff, and at one of those meetings they were called a disgrace, I said, I don't think so.
Well, I can assure you that no one who showed up for a meeting was ever addressed in the way you just described. And if that person is here and wants to step up and say, I said they were a disgrace, step right up, because that is an out and out lie.
Sure.
So I would, I did try to communicate with your group, and only a handful of...
Communicated with our chiefs in the past.
Listen, I met your chiefs in the past. I don't really want to go down this road, but we have meetings every Monday, like I said. Your chiefs refused.
Well, they told us that they hadn't been speaking to you. No, I'm talking about the new ones.
The new chiefs?
They told us they didn't know what was going on, and they hadn't been up to Village Hall.
I'm talking about.
Said this to us.
I'm talking about your prior chiefs. You said.
Yes, and
you're saying there was no communication. There was opportunities for your chiefs to have plenty of communication. The village administrator's door is open every day to every department head.
I think
They
they're
never.
tired of how they were being treated.
Oh,
Every time something went wrong.
but you don't know any of this.
Don't,
You
I
just,
trust them more than I trust you.
well, thank you for your comments, then.
It's our turn to speak. Can we just take turns speaking in order?
I can't hear you, so next person. You could speak to what you know, that would be helpful, rather than third-hand information.
I'm Anthony Matos,
Thanks,
16
Anthony.
years with the ambulance corps. The only problem that we see here is the fire department is department now of the village. The ambulance is going to be a department of the village, but the fire department elect their chiefs. They have commissions. So the only problem that we have with the ambulance is you're telling us these two people that you picked as our chiefs is that 4 to 5 years, you told us at the last meeting, they could be chief. The problem with that is we'd like to have other people as our elected officials to come in with different views. We do that for the last 16 years, I've been there for 16 years. So now, since this is happening, it's happening, no matter what. We are stuck with these two people until you say, oh, next. But I got a feeling that these two people, I do have respect for them. They've been around a long time, a lot of information they have, but they want that title as chief. Now, as being a department, emergency medical services now of the village, is there money involved with these two chiefs?
Are you done?
No, that's not.
Well, I wanted to wait till you were done, and I don't want to interrupt you.
What that is certain people like the power and the authority to come back to us. And when we do have discussions of certain things we want done or have things to be done, we vote on it, and the majority wins. Some people don't like A, some people like B. So the majority of people get picked B, that's the way it's going to go. That's democracy. That's how things get done. That's how people get things moving along. And for 16 years, mutual aid is a commitment for all departments, from Bridgehampton to Montauk, to help out agencies when they don't have an ambulance. That's something we do for free. It's something that's not written down, a law saying you have to go, you have to go. It's something that we all do. Because that's a commitment we have to the communities. So when an agency like the board here says that they're going to have the answers for us, does anybody volunteer for us? Anybody's family members in the village? Because I'm an East Hampton town person. I don't live in the village. But I do this because I'm a volunteer. I've been doing it for years. I was in Montauk for 12 years. So I come here and I join with these people. I enjoy these people. I learned that I'm a 4-year degree. Going to the EMS class is the best thing I ever learned. To be an EMT. So if you guys have any members who are old enough to volunteer with us, hop in the fire. And then you have an idea of what we're doing and what we actually do together. So if you guys would just let us rule ourselves, we get the job done for 16 years, I'll say, because I've been there. The job is always done in a professional manner, with respect. But right now we're getting slapped down because people want the authority over us. So now it's the department, our fire department, the ambulance department. Before you know it, it's all departments of the village. But we have no say. We come and go, yes, sir. We're going. So that's what I have to say.
Don't go yet. So the election of your chiefs. So remember, you are a separate entity. You're not part of the village. The Village Ambulance Association is a membership, is a group of people, right, that formed a legal entity within the state of New York. That group still exists. We still have.
We can't do EMS. We can't. We are EMS. We're not just a party people. We're not about partying.
It's not about partying.
But you're saying we're just a social club.
No.
You do training.
Tony, Anthony, that's what you were formed to do, to be a fraternal organization. I just showed you the documents. 2004.
Excuse me, stop right there. This is the third time I'm hearing this. I heard one meeting here earlier, I heard it again. The thing is, it works. If something works, why fix it? It's not broken.
Listen,
but the thing is,
like I said,
I do.
Like I said,
respect for you, but I don't want to hear it over and over again. Just push the number A button. The same things don't come out of your mouth.
You keep saying the same thing over too, Anthony. With respect, the ambulance, the new ambulance department. How does that negatively affect your life? How does that?
I'm negative. I'm in.
No, I'm saying, how does, no, but as a volunteer, you still get to volunteer. You still get to help your community.
Yeah.
There's nothing changing.
But when someone comes out, the chiefs don't come to us and say, listen, here's the situation. What do you guys think? We go, well, and we come up with an answer. It's going to be their answers to you, not our answers to them.
You can still bring that to your chiefs. It's a hierarchy like any other organization.
But they're still your chief. They're your chief. You hire them, not us.
It's the chief of the department.
You guys hire them, not
It's the
us.
chief of the department, just like the fire department, just like the.
Hey, you said fire department too. The fire department.
Yes, the fire department elects their officials.
Okay,
But the village board are the fire commissioners.
Yes.
Yes, we are the fire commissioners of the fire department. And when the fire department has an internal election, if we agree with those chiefs, then we appoint them.
Have you ever not appointed someone who was elected?
What's that?
Have you ever not appointed one elected, but?
No, and I haven't yet with these two chiefs either. You elected these chiefs.
Well, okay.
Did you not?
I'm gonna say one thing first.
Anthony, did you not elect these chiefs?
Okay, I'm gonna say, yes, we did, but not knowing that they were associating with
the village?
What was happening with the village, with the Department of Emergency Medical Services.
Would you argue with me that the village board, are we the ones responsible for ambulance service to the community?
Oh, I wish I could, but nobody volunteers.
Is the village board responsible for the health and safety and providing ambulance services for the village and the contractual areas? Are we responsible, or is the association? Or does the association work?
I think it's hand in hand, because
you're not letting it be hand in hand, Anthony.
We get things done, and you provide the equipment we need to get the job done, right? Which is nice.
Yeah, and it's not changing.
I know, but the thing is, we don't have the way of getting our chiefs, the one people that we want our chiefs to help us, to go to you, go, okay.
You certainly can, just like the police officers can go to the chief of police. Your group can go to your chiefs and say, we don't like how this is being done. We have a better idea. Why can't you do that to your chiefs?
See, I'm going with the new
going to work.
I'm going with the new world order. I'm joining them, and I'm gonna be my best I can, because I don't care. I'm here for the community. I'm here to help the people.
Thank you for saying that.
Because to be a politician, there's no way in hell I can't do it. I can't. I thank you for my time.
Thank you.
One sec, Mr. Matos, just to address your point about the volunteer, they're not making any money.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's
not a paid position.
It's not a paid position. But every department that I know of in the village, the heads of the departments.
Fire department? Fire department's there.
Fire department? Oh, wait. They're the ones who are elected by the people.
They're not elected by the people.
Well, my people.
Thanks, Anthony.
After the first meeting, Mary said, if you have somebody else who wants to be chief, I will leave.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that.
All right.
Yes, you heard that.
Good luck.
I'd like to make one quick.
Can I have my turn, please?
Wait 1 second.
Chief Smith and myself are both 20-year or members of the volunteer fire department. And, you said that there was no one up here that was a member of volunteer organizations. So I'd like to make that clear as well. Well, you said volunteer.
EMS.
Well,
He was in EMS.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bess Rattray. I've only been in East Hampton EMS for 5 years. But there's a long tradition of volunteering. I used to be a fire department person when I lived in Canada. I've been in service for 15 years. My great-grandfather was East Hampton Fire Chief. A lot of people in EMS have that same family-long tradition. I fully did not want to stand up here and say a word. I did not want to be part of this public debate, but I want to put out a few facts. And I don't want to have a debate. I'm going to say some facts. So I'm going to sit down. The first is that there are 3 types of EMS in New York State. There is a fire department EMS, there is a municipal EMS, and there's an independent EMS. East Hampton Village was an independent EMS. That is why we had our own executive board. That is why we had our own bylaws. That is why we made our own decisions. EMS was in charge of EMS decisions. I think you're going to find that you're not going to have a whole lot of people who want to volunteer when the decision-making piece has been removed from those volunteers. Fact.
The other thing I want to say is Tony Carlo, paid guy, love him, we get along great. I don't know a single volunteer who has any trouble whatsoever with any of the paid people. I don't know where this fiction came from. We love them. They are there to help us. False narrative. It's not about that. Finally, East Hampton Village Ambulance was working great. This is not about any failure. If you look at our mutual aid numbers, they've gone down. They're half what they were in 22 as they were in 21. We're providing more than we're getting. East Hampton Village ran something like 1,400 calls last year. How many were run by paid people alone? 2. We weren't broken. This isn't about some failure. It isn't about some breakdown. It's about taking the decision-making that was traditionally there with volunteers, EMS, making decisions for EMS, taking that away. That's what the problem is. Respect, Godspeed, I don't want a debate.
My name is Sandra Vogel, and I hope I can get through this. This is the most upsetting thing I have ever sat through. First of all, I don't think there was one member that would not work and did not work with paid people. And if I find out who started that rumor, I'm going to blast it out in the public because first of all, I never believe it happened. And I don't know where it started, but it is not the truth. There is no way that we could have operated without them, and there is no way that they could have operated without us. First of all, we still don't have a paid person every single day, and the public is being told they do, and they don't. Now, maybe you will have one every day, but I don't see it happening every single day. The people that are leaving because they put in 35, 36, 40 years of doing the best that they were able to do as a volunteer, not a paid person. Some days I can make 10 calls. Some days, some weeks I can make no calls. I don't want to think that in the future, I'm going to be punished for the days I can't make the calls. And that's what the fear is coming in, because no one in that group will be making decisions about how many calls are mandatory. You will be making the decision about how many calls are mandatory for a volunteer organization. Everybody knows that I remember years ago I was going to leave because I didn't think I was doing my quota. And I was told by the current chief, who is a different person that I've known for many years, you do the best you can. Every little bit you do in an organization like this is respected and needed. These people now are telling you're not good enough. You're not making the right amount of calls. You're not making them in the right amount of time. You're not doing this. Instead of coming to us the day we made 10 calls with only 2 rigs in service. Nobody called anybody and said, what a great day you did. But the day that you don't show up for one call, when you got 2 paid paramedics there and an EMT, you get an email saying, oh, this doesn't look well. I mean, it just hurts me to my heart of what these people feel about. I do not know where it came from that our EMTs, our Corps, would not work with paid people. And the person, I'm going to bring it up, the person who was accused of saying something to the EMTs, that person was a paid person in other districts. So I don't believe he said that. He was a paid person in other districts. And he would say to them, we don't want you here? That makes no sense to me. Maybe I'm crazy, but tell me if that makes sense to you. A paid person would say to other paid people, they don't want you here. And I'd like to know where it came from, Tony, that people in our Corps said, I don't want to work with paid people. I can't wrap my brain around it because I can't see there was a member ever here that did not go and do the best that they could do. Not the best that was expected from somebody else, but the best that they could do. They accepted you into this Corps. They treated you like family. And now you see what has happened. And this is not good for anybody. You have to admit to that. This is not, it's not good for our community. And if you think that anybody that has walked out that door felt good about it, about knowing your neighbor could need an ambulance call, and now I'm not able to run on this group? If you think that that person feels good about it, you're all very wrong. Very wrong. The part that hurts them is they were never recently told how much they did do and how much they were appreciated. It gets muddled up in a little conversation about, oh, you did a good job, but. And I'm going to say this too. Our chief and assistant chief, everything that has been said about them, our previous chief and assistant chief, the things that were said about them are not all true. I don't care what anybody says. During COVID, this ambulance ran just like that, with 30 to 40% members that couldn't run because of immune compromises and so forth. Lisa Chard and Ann Grabowski ran that corps perfectly. COVID calls were taken care of, and things were taken care of. You have a strong woman who ran the organization, ran it well. Maybe every member didn't like him. You don't always like your boss, but you did your job. But they didn't kowtow to the people they needed to kowtow to. And this is what this has come from. Lisa Chard and Ann Grabowski have been dehumilitized, have been said horrible things about at this meeting and other meetings, that they were toxic. They won't speak up for themselves, but I'm going to speak up for them. They were not toxic. They were strong women. They always wanted the paid people, but they were told, we're going to hire the paid people and you take it or leave it, not come into the interview and help us with the interview for the paid people. We've never not accepted the paid people. I don't know where that came from. I just don't know where you came from, and you want to sell it to the community.
Senator, thank you for all you've done for the village ambulance.
Oh, well, thank you.
Listen, I've known you forever, and I respect you, and I respect your taking the time to have the comments here. But we have heard from Anthony. He's been here since 2014. I don't think he stood up here lying to you today. He was there when some of these things happened. And, maybe there's some blame to go all the way around, but we're not forcing anybody out.
I didn't say you were forcing.
People are welcome to stay. There's not going to be any difference in the operation.
It is. Why you keep saying there's no difference?
Because there's no difference. Your chiefs are going to be running the operations. There's nobody.
But the two people that you went out in the community and handpicked, that's number one.
I did not.
Wait a minute.
Who elected them?
No, we did not. Nobody else ran against them because nobody
has run against anybody in 8 years.
Can I finish? Starting in June, the person who is now our chief happened to mention at a meeting, well, I was up in the county. I hate to take everybody's time, but since the mayor is telling me what the new chief said, I was up in the county because I'm always up at the county doing stuff. And I just happened to come across our certificate. And there's some question in it. That was June-ish, I think. The members started questioning her. What are you talking about? Well, I'm not sure, but I'm looking into how your certification is. Okay? That was June-ish. July. Have we heard anything? Then the scuttlebutt started in the community that our chief and assistant chief present are meeting on a regular basis in the village with the village board. But we have a chief and assistant chief who are not invited to those meetings. I'm missing something. But anyway, that's the way it was. Those were rumors and maybe they weren't true. But the membership heard it. And the membership said to them, what's going on? We have no idea. I have no idea. Okay. That was every month. Come January, they're elected in November, sort of, but we have 40-some members, and I'm sure there were maybe 20 votes. Not 40-some votes. Counted votes. Just nobody else ran, so they were elected. When they became the officers, they were point blank asked, what is going on? I have no idea. Don't you read the paper? I don't even read the paper. You don't go to the village and meet with them? I have no idea what you're talking about. Now you expect those two people to rule, to oversee a group of people that they lied to for 6 or 7 months? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. These are two women that I respected and known them for years. They are not the two same people that I've known. They are not. And I hope and pray that that I can stand here in 6 months and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Thank you, Senator.
Hello, my name is Annie Davison, and I want to say right at the outset, I'm an outsider here. I live in Springs, not in the village. My husband was taken by Springs ambulance to the hospital last summer, and that's my only connection to the ambulance corps in this town. But I did serve in a volunteer ambulance corps in Westchester County for as an EMT for 12 years. I was a driver for 2 years while I was going through my EMT training. And so I have a perspective. I don't personally know the people in this room, either on the board or in the audience on either side. And my information doesn't come from rumors. It comes, yes, largely from news reports and so on. And I'm not here to talk about these issues that are that people are so intensely fired up about, which I understand. But I do want to just, as briefly as I can, share my perspective as someone who served in this capacity in a volunteer ambulance corps that was, and thank you, Bess Rattray, for explaining or reminding us of the distinction among 3 different types of ambulance corps. Mine was an independent ambulance corps, standalone. We had many volunteers who were also in the fire department, of course, and we worked closely with the police. The paramedics, and this was a shift that happened as I was coming into the Corps, because we needed paramedics. We didn't have enough ALS. And so a consortium of 7 towns in the county came together and signed on to a new paramedic service that was not part of any of the towns, but served us all with paid paramedics. That worked very well, partly because the all volunteer EMS teams in each town had a relationship with the paid paramedics that I think had to have been different from the relationship between volunteer EMS in the village and with whatever their relationship is, which is clearly a little bit complicated, with the paid paramedics who are, as I understand it, overseen by the police department in the town. That worked well for us. I mean, that was a different solution to a common problem. Another common problem, of course, is recruitment. And we had that problem too. We solved it by bringing in through energetic recruitment a lot of new volunteers. And that worked well for all the years that I was there till I moved here. It just seems to me as an observer that one of the things that we're talking about here is a shift from what feels like a democratic lead-run organization to one that is far more hierarchical, because it will be overseen by the village, by the board, by the mayor. And you will argue over the merits of that. But that is a difference. It just is going to be a difference, for better or worse. In my years, I worked with both. I rode with both paid and unpaid EMTs.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I hate to do this, but there's a lot of other people that want to.
I know, I'm wrapping up.
I didn't want to put a time limit on things, but if you could speed it up a little bit, that'd be helpful.
I will really do my best.
Well, I mean, if I don't want to be rude and set a time limit on you, but I need you to kind of get to the point, if you would.
I think everything I've been saying kind of is the point. I'm sorry if it doesn't come across that way, really am.
We're supposed to be addressing our comments towards the law that's going to go in effect. Do you have an opposition to the law? Do you agree with the law?
Right, okay, well, I don't have an informed and impassioned position on the law. What I have is impressions based on what I'm hearing, what I've been reading, and what my own personal experience has been. And I'm actually really uncomfortable standing up here and taking up your time and being on LTV. I mean, this is not what I had expected coming here today. I just came here to learn. But I will say this, that that I experienced a difference between the paid EMS providers and the volunteer EMS providers. And your people have said today that here in East Hampton, the training and certification are equal. The paid and volunteer providers have the same. So that's great. But they don't, in my experience, have the same ties to the community, the same commitment to the community and to the patients that they serve. It's just not possible in my experience. And my experience is all I bring here today.
Thank you very much.
Fine.
Next speaker.
Hi, my name's Tiger Graham. I'm an ex-village trustee, and for 3 years, I was the ambulance liaison from the board to the ambulances. I have to say, I have nothing but respect for the work that these volunteers do every day. I haven't needed an ambulance, thank God, but if I did need one, I know one would be coming. And it would be staffed by these great people. I understand the board's desire to codify the ambulance corps. I do kind of wonder if, how you were able to reassign the certificate after it had been issued to the Ambulance Association for 20 years, since this 2004. I mean, I kind of think that was a little handed, maybe. I think what I'm hearing today from these people is a lot of frustration, a lot of, I don't know what's going on. You're taking something away from me. I don't believe that that's your intention. I believe your intention is to have the ambulance corps function as they always have. Okay, we have paid, that's, newer than it is older in what's been going on. But, again, I can't imagine that anyone on the ambulance corps is not happy to have more help. Which is
more what, sir?
Help, which is what I view the paid people as. I think that with the resignations you've had so far, which I think is unfortunate, but I understand their frustration with the process. I don't know how you're going to run an ambulance without them. I mean, you're losing a lot of institutional knowledge to these people. I think that had you gone into this process being more inclusive with the ambulance, you might find that you have less resistance. I think in your legislation, you say that the board is going to select the management of the ambulance. I don't know how you're qualified. You're selecting people who perform a medical task. And sorry, Jerry,
you're not a bad guy, but you're not a doctor.
Thanks, Tiger.
I just think that this thing is getting a little out over its skis. I think the volunteers who have for the past 40 years been the people that ran the ambulance, and the editorial in the Star started out, if it ain't broken. I think that's a real point. I do understand the board's desire to codify and rank things and make them more efficient. And I think that largely the ambulance corps is probably as supportive of that as well. I mean, when I was liaison, we got the 2 ambulances that they call the twins. I was really happy about that. So was the board when we gave them to them. But the thing is, I think you really, Mr. Mayor, you cannot take all of this institutional knowledge and these great volunteers who have done such a great service for the village. You can't just cut them out of the process. They are the ones that know how the operation works. They're the ones that should select their chiefs. Same way the fire department selects their chiefs. And if they select somebody you've got a problem with, well, you can address that with the Corps. I don't think that that's your job. I think your job is to make sure the ambulance corps has everything they need to do the job. And so far, that has always been provided. And I don't see any reason that you wouldn't continue to do that. But I think that you need to keep supporting them. And if you have volunteer problems, yeah, okay, we're going to try and recruit. Well, if you don't have enough people to staff the rigs, they're not going to roll. And hiring people in this market is tough. And I think you might end up having a problem. So I would suggest that you be more accommodative to the volunteers and the work that they're trying to do. And we all pull as a team together. This us versus them mentality, which seems to be spreading at the moment, needs to be stopped.
It's easier said than done, Tiger. I've been trying to have conversations with the e-board and the membership for 2.5 years. And you were even on the board at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that has failed because of the past leadership. And when it did fail, I went directly to the members. And I had one of the chiefs going to people, because some people did show up that were nice, and they met with Kerry and I, and we had a nice conversation. None of this intimidation with lawyers and all this nonsense. And we had meetings, and we were told at some of those meetings that the assistant chief was running around telling them, "Don't meet with them. Don't meet with them." That's inappropriate, Tiger. And then when I found out all that, I said to the village administrator, I said, send an email to every one of the members and ask them to meet with us. And a handful of them did. The rest of them who now sit here and say, we didn't know anything, I should have a better process coming from you. I tried for 2.5 years. What do you want me to do? Knock down their doors, go to their house, knock on the door? It's nonsense.
Obviously,
I have went through the channels. Tiger, you spoke. Now I will speak. I spoke to the chiefs at the time, asked for meetings, was turned down. I reached out to every member individually. Some came, some didn't. There's a group of people in this organization who most have resigned. Now, who no matter what you say or do, they're not going to agree with me. That's the end of it. And they're not going to be cooperative. I understand that. I accept that. We are restructuring and we're moving forward. And I said to the organization, I welcome all of you to stay. You're not going to see any change in your operational procedures. Nothing's going to change. The 2 qualified chiefs that the association elected, are the first chiefs that we're going to have. And those 2 chiefs will recommend who they want as their captains, who they want as their lieutenants. And those people will gain experience and rise to the top just like we do in the police department, just like we do in the fire department, and then those people will become the next chiefs. That's the way it's going to work. And I hope, and I said this to the membership when I finally had a meeting, I want you all to stay. I hope you all stay. But I can't make that decision for you. And I respect your decision if you don't want to stay. But we are moving forward, and we want you to stay. But I can't make that decision for you. There are a lot of people who are staying. Out of the 38 people who are members, only 8 or 9 have resigned. 10. And thank you for clarifying. And I can't help that. I'm not going to be held hostage by a group of people who don't want to communicate to the village board, who don't want any oversight from the village board, who pays for the ambulances, who provides a budget, who's responsible to the residents. I can't have a board that will not communicate with the village board. It doesn't work. It's impossible. I can't imagine how frustrated you would be if you were sitting here and you were getting this kind of communication from them. 2.5 years. So don't stand up here and tell me that about a process that I need to do better at, because I've been trying for 2.5 years under the past chiefs. Now that I have new chiefs who you heard from today, who are super qualified to run this organization into the future and have done it in the past, Mary Mott is the longest standing member, active member in this organization. She teaches EMT. She's an AMT. Mary Ellen's an AMT. They have done it all. There's no reason that this group can't work with them. You talk about communication and working together. Why can't the people, the 8 or 9 or 10 people who have resigned, why can't they sit down and work with their 2 chiefs that they elected? Tell me that. You keep saying you didn't elect them. You did.
I can't address the issue.
Standing up here telling me that I need to have better communication, or I need to follow a better process, which you don't know.
What I'm saying.
You don't know what you're talking about. You
I
just
know
said.
full well what I'm talking about, Jerry.
All right, well, thanks for your comments. Any other speakers?
No, sir, Mayor. I would like, my name is Pablo Betancourt, and I've been a member for about 12 years. I'm very grateful for this statute, and I felt like I need to pay somehow. And this is why I joined the ambulance. And I would like to clarify that, I'm sorry, Mary Ellen and Mary Matt, I love them. Mary Matt was wonderful. She spent a lot of her personal time with me for me to become an EMT, and I thank her for that. But what I would like to clarify is that Mary Ellen and Mary Matt didn't were elected by us. They were, I'm sorry, let me finish.
Can you speak up a little bit? I just can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Mary Matt and Mary Ellen were elected chief and assistant chief by default. No one raised the hand. No one says they were elected. No one said that they, because no one else presented. And that's how the democracy of the association was. So I heard about 7 times by you and a couple other people that we elected them. No one presented and wanted to be chiefs because what was going on. Whether if you were wrong or right, they don't want to deal with whatever what was going on. And I am sorry about that. I am very sorry about that. I would like to continue as a member, but if there are changes now that will affect me as a taxpayer, or if I am a volunteer who doesn't charge anything to the ambulance because I want to pay back for everything that I have gained from this town, and if I ever call my ambulance, the ambulance to my house, I don't want to feel like I'm giving my time to the ambulance and then have to pay for it later on, which it seems to be what it's like. And to answer a question that I'm...
Are you saying, are we talking about paying for ambulance?
Yes.
I addressed that before. That's not what this hearing's about, and that's not where we're going.
Yeah. As of now, and this is what I understood. Please, let me finish, and let's give us some respect like you requested before. I don't think we should ask our members to remain being members and not to hurt our community by criticizing other people, like Mr. Carlos said. I'm sorry, Tony. We can ask our people not to leave, and then after that we say that two EMS members were criticizing others. We cannot do that. I have reasons to criticize him, and I never did. Right, Carlos? Right, Tony?
Pablo.
I have reasons to criticize you. I never did.
Pablo, right?
Let me finish. Yes, sir.
I can't hear you, and if you would talk to the board, we'd be able to hear you.
I got reasons to criticize Tony. I had an issue with him, and I wasn't an spoiled person who brought that up. We talked it over, or he talked it over in the ambulance, and I never brought that up. And the reason why I bring that over here is because he is right here. I don't want to talk in the back, in anybody's back.
Right.
And yes, we should try to maintain and help our community, like the community help us. I think we should continue. We should try to continue. And then, for you as a mayor, I would like to ask, with all this situation, with all that is going on, with the people that is living, and I see with the people that might be living, what are you gonna do, or what are you gonna say to the taxpayers? What are you gonna say to them? Why this gentleman before me, he put up something, and there is a lot of things over here that, but you know, it's like you are saying things in a defending way that are not true. And thank you for inviting me to thank me for being a member like you did in the past. The reason I didn't go is because you already thanked me in that email. You say thank you already, so I have no reason for me to go and see you there. I got no reason. There was the thanks already.
Well, the reason I invited everybody to come see me was because when we implemented the paid EMT program, that's when we started getting resistance, like Tony Anthony Carlos spoke about. And that's when I said, let me come to the membership meeting. Let me talk to the members. Let me explain that we're not trying to replace the volunteers. We're trying to supplement, trying to help you. And then when I got the resistance, I didn't get anywhere with the chiefs. I went individually, and I wanted you to come in. And that's what we did at our meetings. We sat down and we explained that we're trying to give you paid personnel to help you.
I don't want to put anybody here into things, but I have received 2 emails in 2 different times. And I remember one of the emails was, please, and it wasn't just me, it was to all the members, come with a shirt that represents the ambulance association, because the mayor is going to come to our meeting. And most of us presented into that meeting with shirts because you were coming and you never show up. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is a lie from whoever sent that email or you are lying to us. I don't really care. And then it was once again, when they sent that email, pretty much the same thing. The mayor is coming to our meeting.
Let me ask you a question. So, why would I have sent emails to individuals if I had been invited to a meeting? Ask yourself that question. Because if I had been invited to a meeting to address all of you, I would have come. Not called you individually because I wasn't getting any response from the ambulance. The village administrator can tell you, he was with me. He's the one who sent out all the emails for me. So I'm certainly not lying to you.
Well, I don't know who's lying, and I am not trying to call you a liar. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not taking it that way.
I'm just saying, I have those 2 emails from the ambulance association, and I have.
Am I on the email because nobody invited me?
And I have your email or your representative. I did have, and thank you for inviting me to that.
Thank you. The only meeting I was ever invited to was the one we just recently went to, that Mary Mott invited me to. That's the only one.
The other thing that I would like to say, yeah, I'm sorry about that, is that since June, they just mentioned recently, and somebody just before me, that Mary Matt had come over with something about the changes of the ambulance. Why you did that behind the people's backs? You the mayor.
What changed?
The boss.
What changed?
The changes in the ambulance, the certificate.
The certificate.
Yeah. No,
So
I'm sorry.
what I showed you on the video before, Lisa Shard was notified way back in 2004 that the ambulance was 2004.
Now,
I mean, the association has been running the ambulance since 1970, correct? Or the 70s?
Yes.
Lisa Shard knew in 2004 that the ambulance was a municipal ambulance, says it right in the memo from Larry Cantwell to her. That was what, how many years? 20 years ago? And then when the village asked the state, how is it possible that when it's the village's responsibility to provide ambulance services to this community, how is it possible that the association has the name, the CON in their name? So all we did was send a letter to the state, and all they did was look back, and they changed it because it was clearly it was clearly the villages. You think the state would have just done it?
No. And I agree with that. I agree with
So that's how it got changed back to the village.
And you are entitled to change that, and I respect that. And I read that sheet that you gave us in the last meeting.
Right.
And I do respect that. My question is, you went and did that behind this association who's representing you.
Yes.
And please let me finish.
Go ahead.
You went in the back of all of us and did that. Now, how we know you are not going to continue with this? And the other thing too is that this was a democracy thing, and our new chiefs got to be elected chiefs by default, with all my respect to Mary Ellen and Mary Matt. I have nothing against them. And so now you said in the previous meeting that you would love to see them chiefs for the next 5 years. What kind of democracy is that? That's dictating. And so, and you are implementing this today, and you went in our backs before. How we know you are not going to keep on hitting us from the back from now on?
I have to correct you. I didn't go behind your back.
Yes, you did. You changed that. Now, I don't care. You are entitled to that.
No, it wasn't. Pablo, let me finish. If I went behind your back, I would have. What you're saying is I went behind your back and I took the CON away from you. You didn't own the CON. Pablo, all I did was contact the state and ask them to research how the CON went from the village to the association. And they found that it was a typo or whatever. It happens. Village Ambulance Association, Village Ambulance. It's a normal, easy mistake. So nobody went behind your back. We asked the state to look into it. If the state would have come back and said, no, that CON clearly belongs to the association, then we would have had to have a meeting. And I would have said to the association, I need that in the village's name, because the village is the one who has the need. The village is the one who has the responsibility, not the association. My fear with the relationship I had with the two chiefs, that the association may be going away. There may be, I heard rumors that they were all going to walk out. I can't let that happen to my residents. I can't let that happen and not have a CON.
Rumors before you change the certificate?
Yes. Yes. And that's why I was worried about the CON.
Sorry about that.
And let's fast forward to right now. The same group has walked out. And they're trying to take more every day.
No, they're not. We make our own decisions.
Okay.
These are all never been told not to talk to the fake people.
How?
They've never been told not
Please,
to.
I'm sorry. I think.
All right. Pablo has the floor.
That's a lie.
Sir, you didn't answer my question. You don't need to explain all that to me, because I got it clear, and I agree with what you have done. if you are the face of East Hampton Village, I understand that you have to grab things because you got to protect yourself as well as the village.
Right.
But why did you go? Why you didn't say to these people, listen, this is what happened, this is this, and then let us know that you are doing those changes, so that if we like it or not,
You're not listening. Pablo, you're not listening to me.
I am.
I tried for 2.5 years to meet with your organization through your chiefs. I did not get there. And then when I didn't get there, I sent emails to every one of you to meet with me. Only a half of you met with me. So how am I supposed to get to you?
You should have come. You own this place. You don't own this place, but this you are our head, and you can come anytime.
Pablo, I love you. I love you. I love you, Pablo, for saying that. But that's not the case because this group has nothing to do with the village. This group is the village. They're their standalone entity. I am not going to walk in, force my way into one of their meetings, your meetings, and then be asked to leave. I'm not going to embarrass myself like that. That's ridiculous.
Twice when I was chief.
Okay.
She's saying they she invited you.
Prepare the group by saying, everybody wear your.
Yes, two different times, two different meetings.
Yes.
She's lying.
Well, let's see a copy of the email inviting me. Is that fair?
Do I have it on me? Probably.
No, do you have one?
Let me look.
Produce it to the group.
If we don't remember how to wear a shirt, what do you think we believe?
Listen, you can wear your shirts all you want. I'm telling you, I don't have any. I'm flippant.
Yeah.
You're out of line, lady. Go ahead, Pablo.
Thank you. I got nothing else to say about thank you to East Hampton Town for allowing me to be part of the ambulance.
I hope you stay, Pablo.
I'm probably, the one who doesn't speak English as well as you guys do and was allowed to be here, and communications probably have hard time listening to me. And thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much.
A lot in here. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary Matt. Thank you, all the ones. Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me and making me part of this. And thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't know about Mrs. DeFalco, but I would like to say regards to Mrs. DeFalco. And I say this because Chief of Police, I know his in-law. If she's still around, give her my regards.
She is.
I'm glad to hear that.
She lets us know it every day.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else?
Pardon me for wearing a mask, but I just got over COVID and I was told by my doctor I should do this. Can you hear me?
No.
I'm here with no axe to grind. I am just a village full-time resident and taxpayer. And I've had the good/bad fortune of having to use the ambulance several times in the last couple of years. It is a wonderful organization. The volunteers are fabulous. I'm sure the EMTs are fabulous. It just seems to me, I'm concerned as a village resident and taxpayer to have 10 members resigning who have a lot of experience. And I love the fact that it's a volunteer organization. So I guess just as someone who has used the ambulance and is a taxpayer and resident, I would hope that the two groups can come together in some way to resolve this, because it would be a shame to keep having to hire paid people who are strangers to the community and who aren't one of us because other people reside. I just don't see that as viable. And I see going down the road, you having to hire more and more paid people, and then that changes the makeup of the organization when you have mostly a paid volunteer instead of volunteer organization. And then who pays for that? Then it becomes an issue of, the taxpayers don't want to pay for it, so we have to, charge it to insurance companies. Who knows? But the point is, it's not a good path to go down.
I agree. Can we just get your name for the record?
Yes, Jamie Wallace. And
Thank
I
you.
live on Mill Hill Lane, and I've had the ambulance come to my house. I've had the ambulance come when I fell on a street. So, they're wonderful people, and
I don't disagree.
me to the hospital, and I'm here and healthy, and so this is good. I just wish that you could all work together a little bit to make this work, because 10 people resigning is concerning, yes. And I don't know the politics involved, and I don't want to get involved with that, but, it's a concern. And thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
This is one of the best community meetings I have seen in a long time. And I think we should turn down the temperature. Tiger, thank you. I think you were very clear, and I'm going to address the board, not Jerry. You're part of the board, but you all have a responsibility here, and you all were voted into office separately. And you're hearing from your community that they are unhappy with the process. That's what they're saying. They're not saying they're unhappy with changes. And I actually, on both sides, heard what I thought were possible good improvements. I think we can improve things for the future. But I think clearly the process here did not work. And for you to take a vote, not to delay a vote on this issue until people can be fully understood, come back together again, since you said you're willing to meet with them. You should meet with the community again on this issue. You can't just say, I sent out an email. I mean, everyone practically here, I have hardly heard anyone except from the administration directly that approves of this change. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't improve it. I'm saying you should be more inclusive. Your community wants you to be more inclusive. And that, I personally am going to hold everyone accountable on board for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I'm Sheila Bell, down in the library, and asked me if I told you right, but did I suggest you should put with? What did I say?
You were sad that you weren't with anyone else, like you were here.
Right, and did I say that you should stay in?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is to Amanda. She was mine. And she said, I said, Amanda,
They're asking you to stand there so they can put you on that.
I'm Sheila Dunlop. I've been in the ambulance for about 34 years. So anyway, I did not tell the young lady to quit. I'm one of your disgruntled people, apparently.
I realize that.
And I didn't know I was disgruntled. Thought I was really brokenhearted and sad, but I didn't know I was disgruntled. And I'm trying. But anyway, Amanda emailed me after your last meeting. And I said, Amanda, I just can't stay, but I do want to keep in touch with you because I think you're great, and I just want to know how well you are doing. She says, I understand, Sheila, I'm sad, but I understand. I will be your trivia partner then, because we played trivia over barbecue place. It'll be okay. You already impressed a lot of people, and so you'll have a good core group that you can hang with. And she says, I just got here, so for me, I think I want to stick it around and see how it goes. I don't have any experience yet, really. I don't even have my EMT cert. So I just want to get that and see how awful it gets. I said, you're right. And the other thing is you haven't been in for 30 years and known a different way. So for you, it should be easier for you to handle the change. And she says, well, I don't handle disrespect. And that was what she got from her meeting with you. She came out of there and she said, they were so inappropriate. She said, he told me not to talk to Anne and Lisa, but to talk to Mary and Mary Ellen, that you had bad things to say to her about her then chief, which she had a problem with. Amanda, I have loved being, this is me, I've loved being in the ambulance. If you like it half as much, you'll get so much out of it. Caring for others really makes you feel good. I really hope you stay in. And she says, I got lucky having you, but whatever. And I, then we're back and forth of saying nice things about each other. But anyway, so I just want you to know, we're not trying to get people to quit. Thank you.
For anyone else?
Hi everyone on the board. My name is Juliet, and I am an EMT. I've been with the association for only 2.5 years. So I'm new, very new when you think some of these people have been giving of themselves in their nights for 30 or 40 years. I can't imagine what they feel, because this just breaks my heart. I'm heartbroken. I was never told that I shouldn't go to see you. I did go to see you, and we had a nice talk. It wasn't the thank you that you had expressed in your email. It was more like, I'm putting Mary Mott and Mary Ellen in place, and I really want to know that I have, like where you stand on that. Are you going to leave? That was the impression that I got. I just gave my letter of resignation. After our meeting last week, I wanted to stay. I really did. It just didn't feel good to me. And it didn't feel good for a couple reasons. It didn't feel good because of the way that Lisa and Ann were spoken about. That didn't feel good. Ann was working for the village, so I think that was a really big conflict of interest. In the future, I think that if you have chiefs, they really shouldn't be working for the village either. I think the conflict of interest started a lot of what's happened. And the second reason that I left is because in the meeting, all along, Mary Mott had been asked, what's going on? We know that something's going on. What's going on? And she would deny it. She would say, no, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And then in the meeting, she let it out that, as a matter of fact, she did know what your plan was, and that it was like she had come to a head because the meeting got so disrespectful towards her that she was going to go to you, and she said, it's time to implement your plan. I can't get the group together. Implement your plan. And to me, she should have talked to us the whole entire time when she was in the know. She withheld information from us, and it was dishonest. It didn't feel good. I'm one of I think there's only 2 nurses in the Corps. I'm one of them, and I'm leaving. It just doesn't feel good. The whole entire thing has felt like it's been very snake in the grass and just really not coming from a position of honesty and transparency. And that's all I want to say. I'm absolutely heartbroken. If you can do anything to come together, I would love nothing more than to continue serving my community in this way. And I just,
But
it breaks my heart.
you can keep, you're going to have the same, you're going to have this. But wait. Coming together with who? Who needs to come together? It's the same chiefs that you had who are going to be running the organization.
That also, I feel, lied to us. I feel like that.
So we come together and what? We're going to.
I don't know. I don't know what can.
I'm just trying to get to the.
I know. I don't know what can happen.
Like what you want to happen to make you feel comfortable to come back. I don't understand, like what I can do.
I don't know.
I'm not going to be held hostage by 7 or 8 people who don't want to communicate.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? So.
And I understand.
I want to move forward, and I would love to have you and anybody else who wants to serve under Mary and Mary Ellen to stay. It's not.
I think that a lot of people who have left, and I haven't really been in contact with anyone else who's resigned, other than recently to let them know that I've resigned and that I'm heartbroken about it. I think that the general tone is that everyone feels that they were lied to by Mary.
Well,
It's really just a big dig.
So what happened is I wanted to implement this law in December,
Probably when we had our meeting.
when everything was going, in my opinion, going really bad. So then when Mary and Mary Ellen got elected, they talked me out of doing this. And they said, give us the opportunity to work with the Corps for a couple of years and see if we can, a couple of months, to see if we can get this under control. So they had not seen what I wanted to do. They just knew the concept.
And they didn't tell us that.
But no,
They're not going to tell you that. She wanted to get it under control. She thought she could. And then after the January meeting, she was attacked.
that was it.
After,
Totally
no,
understood.
after the February meeting, she was attacked. And she came to me, and that's when I said, I'm doing this because it's not getting better. And we're not going to go into the summer when 7 or 8 people are going to walk out on me in July. So I want to start building it now before we get into summer and this group walks out like they did now. So I didn't want to go into summer when it's even worse and the call volume's even worse. So they didn't lie to you. They didn't know the whole story. And they really wanted to fix it themselves and make it back to what it was. But there's a group of people in here who will never let that happen. And it's not a reflection. I'm not going to start calling out names, but it's the people who don't want to stay. They're the ones that are leaving because they don't want to be told anything by anybody. And we can't have that. We don't have that in any department in the village. Every single department in this village is run by the village board. You have chiefs who are the experts. To Tiger's point, listen, I'm not a medical expert. I don't know how to run a bulldozer, but I know how to put a manager in place. I don't know how to be a fire marshal, but I have a fire marshal. Yes, I don't know how to be a medical technician, but I know chiefs that are very good at what they do, and they are in charge. The police chief, very good at what he does. He's in charge. Fire chiefs are in charge. Ambulance chiefs are going to be in charge.
So,
and they're going to have full control, not just partial control.
you were not at all of our meetings. You were at the one, and obviously you were not at the meeting, but they were point blank asked, do you have any idea what's going on? They denied meeting with you. Mary denied all of it. And that has set the tone for this whole entire.
I just don't think it would have helped the cause because.
Yeah, but it was live. We were live.
Missing the point. The point is a vote of confidence in the trust.
We don't have any confidence or trust. It's a whole undercurrent of mistrust, and it's just not good.
Well,
it's not good. So I wanted to just.
That happened in the past.
I wanted just
We can move forward and we can build from the ground.
So you said in your meeting when you were with us that you had come to the chiefs and asked the chiefs for specific things. One thing that I know that you asked for was coverage from 6 to 8, right? We needed those times. We were getting heavy call volume. We'd have 2 ambulances out, no one to staff the 3rd one. We didn't give you exactly what you wanted. We didn't have squads start earlier at 6, but we did have a slew of people sign up on boards downstairs that they would cover those times, and those times got covered. What else was there? Driver. You want to have people come from the outside to become drivers without being EMTs. Completely fair.
I wanted communication with the chiefs. I want respect within your own organization. We heard Simone Johnson at our meeting. She said nobody respects anybody. There's a whole bunch of infighting going on. She stood up at your meeting and said that nobody respects anybody within their own organization. We can't run an ambulance like that. We need people in charge.
Or maybe it was before I started, but the only issue.
If you come to the meetings, you would have seen.
June or July when the call went at the beach. That's to me when all of this started and the mistrust started happening.
It started before that because I had asked, we're having events up at the beach, 2,000 people, 1,000 people up at the beach, and I asked for volunteers to come up, see if we could get a list. You know what they did with the list? They buried it on the bulletin board. Nobody came. And that was the night Springs had to come and cover the call when you had 2 rigs.
Ambulances were broken.
Please. And you had 2 rigs sitting here in the building, and the police chief was sending a cop to come and get one of the rigs. So there's a lot of miscommunication going on and a lot of different rumors and, oh, we had 2 rigs out, this was out. There's a lot of games being played, and we're not going to do it anymore. We're going to move forward. We're going to welcome new people in. We've got 2 terrific chiefs. Whether there was mistrust or whatever, we're moving forward. We can't fix anything that's happened in the past. I welcome everybody to stay, and we move forward and we work together, and we have much better communication. We have the lines of communication are very open now. They come to every one of our staff meetings on Monday mornings.
They said they didn't.
So
Thank you for your
thank you so
time.
much.
Thank you for your time, and I'm sorry that I can't stay. It just, it doesn't feel good to me.
It has to be right
If
for
things start to feel better, Mary Ellen has said that I'm
It
welcome
has to
to
be,
come
it
back.
has to be right for you.
I just,
So-
I don't feel good about it.
Thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Julia.
Hi, my name is Teresa Lawler, and I've been in the ambulance since 2003. And I have to say that it was the best thing for the community feeling that I developed. And also because of the medical knowledge. It just was the most awesome thing that I besides my own kids, the most awesome thing for me. I just have 3 questions. One question is, will Mary Mott be paid?
No,
Okay. Will Mary Ellen be paid?
no.
Okay. And do you have the ability to then fire somebody?
Fire somebody?
Yes.
Only if there's some sort of disciplinary thing or, no, I would say,
Okay, I just want to make sure those facts which you look for and we all think are so important are right out in the open because
I'm sorry, Teresa, I can't hear
I
you.
just want to make sure it's established and those facts are out in the open.
Yes.
Because there is speculation.
Nobody, look, listen,
I just want to, that's all, you don't have to.
Teresa, you've known me since I was a kid.
I know you since you were a kid. You-
Not picking on any ages. And
So
you're not doing, no one,
ask 3 questions.
no one's doing this for any bad intentions.
Whatever.
I just want to make it better. I want to help the volunteers. That's how this all started. And all I got was resistance. And you heard from the police chief, you heard from Anthony Carlo. I'm not making this up. These are the people that are reporting to me and telling me these things.
Okay, but if you want to continue with this conversation, I guess I can. I'm really very, very upset about all of this. It's divided my community, it's divided my family, it's divided many of us here because we're taking sides, which is wrong, and you all know the different ones. But we were a volunteer. We signed up for a volunteer, and you took it away.
You can still be a volunteer.
No, it's
And
not.
the association, just like I told you in the meeting the other night,
The question is, when did you take our license away and change it?
we never took your license away.
When did you change the name?
I don't remember. July, it changed back. Didn't change. It was a.
Corrected certificate was issued.
I've already gone through this, and again,
All I'm asking is a date.
I don't remember. July, maybe? July, somewhere around there.
September 15th, 2022.
September 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Anyone else?
Again, I'm Anthony Matos, 16 years. The situation here is we're not governing ourselves. Nobody's bringing that up again. We're being governed by 2 people that you picked, and that it's your people going to tell them or tell you what we do and what we can't do. That's the whole situation of these people leaving, is because they're losing their right to vote for people they want in and what we want to do and how we want to do. Since day one, whatever these people voted on, it worked. Nothing ever broke down. Nothing was not done. Everything was taken care of. Everything was taken care of 100%. There was no 99, 98, 100%. These people were in both feet because they picked people to bring the team, be the chiefs to run the organization. But now, since these two people who ran for chief in January, you picked them because that's who you wanted. If they weren't in as chief, let's say other people were in, Mary Mott would have been in your office prior to being elected. You don't pick our people. You pick your own people. And that's what I think, and most people here think the same thing. It's because these people are so into use, all you people, that it's easier to get things done through them. They're going to try to get things moved along, but there's going to be a little friction because they know that they're not there for our backs. They're with you, in front of you the whole time, and our backs and all. This is an assumption that it's not there for us. We want people to be there for us and go to you and go, Jerry, this was happening, and we have to talk about this, and then come to a mutual agreement. Everything can be agreed upon.
And that
it's always front and back. But
will happen, Anthony.
If it's not your way, I'm going to say it. If it's not your way, it's not going to go. But meanwhile, the core is what we want, and it could be that way. That's what most people are leaving. They don't want to see that. The young people don't know.
Why don't they wait? Like I said at the meeting.
But the thing is,
give it a shot.
Give
it a shot, and if you're
Jerry, open the door. The door goes in the same direction. These people have been here for 40 years. They ran in that direction for 40 years. Vote let people in because they wanted those guys.
You know what I'm saying is, you have this fear that something's going to happen, but you don't know if it's true. So what I'm saying is, why quit? Why not stay with it and see if there's fear? You can always quit.
Not quit. They're resigning. They're at a certain point in life, they'll go exempt. After 10 years, I think it is, you can go exempt.
No, I get that, but that's not what they're saying. They're going to other departments because
they want to, Jerry.
Right, because what's going to happen in those other departments?
Where'd you go?
What's going to happen?
Because that's what they want to do. This is what they want to do. Because
who runs those departments?
But Jerry, the thing is, we're not going that far. We're going with who's governing.
So you don't see any of this as, from my point of view.
This is the East Hampton Village, East Hampton Town people who are volunteering for the Village of East Hampton ambulance.
Right.
They want the opportunity to go, I want A and B as chief, and C and D. To go to a meeting, everybody picks a name, gets picked up, oh, A and B won. And C and D goes, okay, good luck, we'll see you next time. But now we have, like you told us, hey, don't point fingers. You said to us that Mary Ellen and Mary could be here 4 or 5 years. They could. But meanwhile, and there's a lot of people here who would love to try to be chief, want to get the experience and understanding how to run an organization. But that's what's going on here. It's not what you're saying the whole time about leaving us. It's people want to be able to pick the people who want to run us, to go to you, to go to your board and talk to you. Not that you go, these two. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, just like.
Yeah. We need a break. So let's, can I get a motion to close? Does anybody on the board want to say anything?
Can we talk about this before we?
Let's have a motion to close the hearing.
If we close, then it's done. You still have to vote.
There'll be no more testimony.
Okay.
You're not voting on the motion.
Motion to close hearing.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so the hearing's closed. Thank you all for coming. I think we're going to take a break because it's been a long day. So let's take a I was going to say half hour. Let's have lunch and come back. So we'll come back we're going to reconvene at 2:30. What?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I hope they're all coming back.
I highly doubt it. I don't know. Oh, so.
All right, you're up.
All right, everybody, it's still March 17th. 2:30 p.m. We are back in session after a short break. We just concluded a public hearing on introduction number 3, 2023. And we have listened to all the public comments, and I'm going to make a recommendation that we renotice this, or is it renotice? Or I want to change some of the wording on this law. We're going to make it so it'll be closer to what the fire department does, so which will allow for the village ambulance to make their own elections, which will then be approved by the Board of Trustees. So I think that should calm some of the concerns. So basically, the new law, and we'll put it on for April 21st, will be similar to what the fire department does. So the Board of Commissioners for the ambulance will be the Board of Trustees, just like the fire department. And the fire department, the ambulance department, EMS department will have its own elections, which chiefs will then be approved by the Board of Trustees. Exactly how the fire department's done. So that should hopefully help with some of the comments that we have. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Yes. Everybody in favor?
Yes.
All right. So can we redo that, Lisa?
Yes.
So again, it's going to be April 21st. So now,
Question. Oh, sorry.
haven't you done enough?
The law being written a certain way won't preclude standards for running for the office, correct?
I don't believe so. I haven't changed the law yet, so I don't know.
Okay,
what
because
it's like.
I know the fire department has, there's certain parameters.
Right, you might have to be in for a certain amount of years.
Or you may have to be a captain. I don't know. I suspect you have to be a captain.
Right.
I think that would be extremely important.
A prerequisite.
There it is. That's the word I was looking for.
Or, yeah, well, I think that'll be written by internal policies of the MS department, which will be under the village board. So I think that'll work. That should appease some of the problems. Again, this board is not trying to alienate volunteers. We are trying to take responsibility for the health and safety of our residents, which we have not had with the current ambulance association. We are trying to negotiate with the association to stay part of the group with a contract, which they would then supply recruitment, training, and building of morale. So hopefully that happens by the 21st of April when we reconvene. All right. So now we're going to move on to resolutions. Lorraine.
Resolution number 374, approve claim vouchers for the month of January.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Mayor, I apologize. I just want to note that trustee Melendez is here now.
Oh, yeah.
Has rejoined the meeting.
Can we note that trustee Melendez is now here? Thank you, Sandra.
Resolution number 375, 2023, approve warrants as listed. General fund number 41, 43, 44, 48. Guarantees number 40, LoSAP number 42, and capital fund number 45.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Passed and carried.
376, approve budget transfer schedule number 5, reference number 5, dated March 2023.
Second.
All in favor? Passed and carried.
377, approve departmental reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
378, approve public notice concerning unpaid taxes for the year 2022 to 2023 to be published in the East Hampton Star.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
379, approve the East Hampton Library to receive a copy of the Board of Trustees minutes from 1920 to 2022 for public viewing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Approve the, number 380, approve the enrollment for 5 police officers to attend the 2023 New York Tactical Training Conference and Expo being held April 24th to April 29th, 2023 in Verona, New York at a cost of approximately $6,030.
Oh. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
381, resolve the 2022-2023 village budget is hereby amended to increase estimated revenue and appropriations in the amount of $15,548.22 for past 2 decades of lost and found unclaimed monies for expenditures related to police training.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
382, approve 5-year agreement to provide Sag Harbor Police Department with dispatching services.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
383, approve $17,750 quote to purchase firefighter and ambulance recruitment video from 929 Media.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
384, approve $15,240 purchase of 3 marine-grade stainless steel outdoor showers to replace the existing showers at Main Beach and 2 Mile Hollow Beach.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
385, approve $16,790 K-38 rescue jet ski training course. As per March 14th memo from Drew Smith.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
386, approve 2-year landscaping agreement with landscape details for Home Sweet Home at a cost of $29,000 each year.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
387, approve 5-year New York State snow and ice agreement at a total reimbursement of $58,995 per February 22nd memo from Dave Collins.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
388, approve $15,970 $2.27 additional charges from Clean Harbor Environmental Services Incorporated for additional costs associated with the disposal of firefighting foam.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
389, deem surplus and approve the disposal of inoperable LPR vehicle computer camera, East Hampton Village ID 3134 and ID 3135 per March 3rd memo from Chief Tracy.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
390, approve Sea Spray Cottage's request for information, RFI.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
391, approve design of Herrick Park Phase 1A.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
392, approve East Hampton Village Foundation donation of $1,066,029.30 for Herrick Park Phase 1A.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. 393.
Thank you. Approve Herrick Park Improvement Agreement with Land Tech to rebuild the tennis courts and softball field at a cost of $1,066,029.30.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
394, accept the low bid for sidewalk repair from Long Island Mason and Concrete. Bids open at 2:00 p.m. February 22nd, 2023, as noticed. Per February 22nd memo from Dave Collins.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
395, accept the low bid for curb and apron repair from Long Island Mason and Concrete. Bid open 2:00 p.m. February 22nd, 2023, as noticed.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
396, notice for public hearing to be held on April 21st, 2023 at 11:00 a.m. at the Emergency Services Building, 1 Cedar Street, for introductory number 5, 2023, a proposed local law authorizing the moratorium on tennis court and pickleball court conversions, Chapter 10 of the Municipal Home Rule Law.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
397, approve sanitary easement from Cheerio Corporation by the Village of East Hampton for property located at 37 Newtown Lane, AKA 80 Park Place, Suffolk County Tax Map number 301-3-4-33.2, over property located within the Rudishan parking lot.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
398, notice for public hearing to be held on April 21st, 2023 at 11:00 a.m. at the Emergency Services Building, 1 Cedar Street, for introductory number 1, 2023, a proposed local law amending coastal erosion hazard areas, Chapter 101-22, expiration of variances.
Accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
399, adopt local law number 4 of 2023, introductory number 2, 2023, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code by adding Chapter 36 to codify the East Hampton Village Police Department as a department of village government.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 400, adopt local law number 5 of 2023, introductory number 4, 2023, or proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code by adding Chapter 37 to codify the East Hampton Fire Department as a department of village government.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Skip the next one. We're going to skip 401.
Number 402, notice for public hearing to be held on April 21st, 2023 at 11 a.m. at the Emergency Services Building, 1 Cedar Street, for introductory number 5, 2022, a proposed local law amending definitions, non-conforming buildings and area, setback and height regulations with respect to pickleball courts and tennis courts, Chapter 278, 1 and 3.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
403, approve March 2nd, 2023 list of ambulance department volunteers who have met requirements and qualified for 1 year of service award credit.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
404, accept new member of the Ambulance Association, Kaylee Demai, as per March 5th memo from Chief Mott.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 405, employs Stephen Montalto as a full-time EMT paramedic at the starting annual salary of $66,000 effective April 1st, 2023, per March 9th memo from Chief Tracy.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
406, accept custodian Richard Balance Jr.'s retirement effective July 15th, 2023.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Passed and carried. I just want to thank Rich. He's been here a very long time. He's done a great job for the village. And we're going to miss him. He's been really terrific. So
He's excellent.
I wish him nothing but luck in whatever he decides to do. Thanks, Rich. Next.
Resolution number 407, approve the purchase of 3 2023 Ford Rangers R4F XL four-wheel drive Super Crew trucks from National Auto Fleet at a total cost of $104,663.94.
Motion accept.
Second.
All in favor? Passed and carried.
Resolution 408, approve the purchase of 2023 Ford Ranger XL four-wheel drive truck from National Auto Fleet at a total cost of $36,390.44.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 409, deem surplus and approve the disposal of hot water heater from Herrick Park bathroom renovation.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
410, approve change order number 5 for the Herrick Park bathroom renovation project, Carter Mellons Incorporated, in the amount of $46,815.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. That's what Mr. Hayjack spoke about earlier before he had to leave. I know it was a long time ago, so just wanted to refresh everybody's memory. Thanks. Next.
Resolution number 411, approve the purchase of 1 2023 Yamaha jet ski from Cross Bay Motorsports at a total cost of $14,666.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Passed and carried. And I'd like to thank Robert and his wife Jessica for that donation, and
That's on behalf of his mother too, et cetera.
oh, it's from his mom. I'm sorry. Brad mentioned that earlier. So thank you very much for that. Very generous donation. We are now going to close. I need a motion to close this meeting and move into executive session to discuss personnel and real estate.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this meeting's closed. We're going to go into executive session. If for any reason we have to come back